got used to it. And now, like, I like went in there, like, where is everything? Because now the pickles got moved down. They're not, am I like, it's got the point where you had one aisle was vegetables, well, canned soup and everything, and they had your tortillas and all that stuff, and then the other aisle was your bush beans or just regular vegetables, and like you had your hot dog buns, your croutons, all in one freaking aisle. And then now everything's kind of moved again. Like it's just the point where I'm like, they used to have store maps, but instead of that was back when Roundy's owned it. Kroger doesn't update the maps, so I'm like, I'm gonna go in there and be like, I'm just like, dude, I just want to find one thing. Where is it now?
Speaking of
And
finding one
then
things,
the bad
welcome everyone back to Late Night Comics, where I am experimenting with a new opening where I just start things live and people that are in the background, you get to hear backstage our conversations. And I think it makes for some funny
I'm going
stuff.
to sue you for copyright infringement. I
You
do
just
this
got
on my channel.
beeping.
I may not have this
You
channel
just
very
got dinged.
long, or it may belong to RDV soon. But in the meantime, um, litigation does take quite a bit of time.
Years.
So we'll have to see
I
how
almost
things
I
play
almost
out.
wonder, would the channel improve if Zach and I posted more stuff on this channel, more active, or would it
Probably.
make it worse?
Well, it depends on how hot
Oh
Zach's
my
takes.
gosh, you could have
Speaking
you
of,
could have late night comics, and then during the day comics.
all right, speaking of Zach and
Yo.
late night comics, let's do the proper opening. Welcome everyone. I'm Ash, one of the warm bodies that fills fills the channel. Joining me as always, as you heard, is the venerable RDV, and special guest tonight. We got Hot Take Zach in the house. Welcome, guys.
What's up? I don't think I was supposed to be here, but I wound up here. I'm like the kids in Narnia. So yeah. How's it going?
It's going good. How about you, RDV? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I figure since Zach's available and he's actually read some books, I figure, you know what? Let's get a third opinion on this because Zach has his hot takes. You
Yeah,
know,
he does. He's got some
I do.
hot takes.
I do.
oh
My
my
Michelle
gosh,
Pfeiffer take is still burning people's ears.
you know what?
You could fry an egg on Zach's hot takes.
That's gonna be a new segment on the Geeky Puppet Show. Hot takes with Zach, and
I
Oh,
then
like
that's a
it.
good. Oh man,
I like that actually.
damn it!
I'll have Zach come on, and Zach will be eating some chicken wings, hot sauce, and then giving his takes, and then he'll leave.
Oh, I do like chicken. I do like chicken. Oh man. I like this idea so far.
Damn it! I might have to plagiarize that. Zach, do hot takes on my channel. We have a bidding war for
like,
Zach.
like my other ideas, like these are the most, these are like the '90s Conan O'Brien ideas. A minute with Eric Breen. He jumps on for a minute, talks, and then we kick him off.
Or if Zach does the hot takes on the Geeky Puppet channel, then I'm just gonna have to do the hot take reactions here.
Hot
React to my
take on
hot
hot.
takes.
Oh
Yeah,
my, yeah. Hot reaction to hot takes.
I
cold
like
cold
that. That's
reactions.
good too.
Hot
Cold
reaction.
reactions.
Oh my gosh. Hot
Best served cold.
reactions.
This is
Hmm.
gold, man. This is
So
YouTube
speaking of
gold we're
hot
dishing
takes,
out.
gonna warm us up for
Bring
tonight
it.
because we always bullshit about other nonsense before we get in the books. I finished up My Hero Academia season 6, and holy shit! Well, I finished it up last week actually, but we
I, I,
didn't really talk about. Oh,
I
I
don't.
mentioned it on E's channel, but
Yeah. On the auction. Yeah.
I'm
You
I'm
just
not going to spoil anything. But holy
I
shit, was
know
it an amazing season?
when we're not on the air, and Isaac probably hasn't watched it though, so
No,
I
he
can't
hasn't
spoil in
watched
front
it.
of him. But there's one thing I would talk to you that I did not, and I would have been much better.
Ah,
And
okay.
you
I'm
probably have an
curious.
idea
I'm curious to know what that is. I'm very curious to know.
towards
It
the later
wasn't.
episodes and like, certain character and
Was it
decisions
the
that were
was it the
made.
very end?
No, not the very end. Two episodes
Okay.
before that.
Okay.
With
Okay.
what that?
Did it have to do with an
Yes.
apology?
No, 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 no. Not apology. Well, towards the end, he
Did it
apologized.
did it
Yes,
have
but
to
I
do with a
mean,
coming
yeah,
clean?
I was more as confronting him the way some people did, and I thought they were wrong, and he was in the right, and he should have kept doing his own thing. I'll just say
All right,
that.
we'll have to talk. Well, when too much beating around the bush here, people are gonna be like, "What the hell are you talking
Yes,
about?"
yes.
But anyways, it is an epic. It was an epic season. One of my favorites, if not my favorite season so far.
Started off rough for me though,
It did
because
start
I'm
off
like, where's
rough.
Deku?
It did really start off rough,
It's
but
like,
it built. It's one of those seasons that's like was like a crescendo. If you ever go like do like a fireworks display on 4th of July, and they're just like,
yes, it builds up, builds up, builds up,
and
and
then
it
you get
pays
like the
off in the
last
end.
like the last couple minutes of it, it's just like boom, 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 boom. You know, like that's what this whole season felt
Oh,
like. It felt like the
yeah.
first 5 seasons were like building to
Le-
this.
Last episode though was kind of anticlimactic. I was just like, oh, here, this is where we go. We're gonna be like, we're gonna leave it on this. I was like,
Anticlimactic.
really?
No, dude, it's the
Because
it's
I,
the it's the comic it's the classic comic book setup. It was the classic last page of like a Marvel comic where like the story that particular story arc kind of came to a conclusion, and then you flip the page and it's like, oh my god, Doctor Doom shows up, or like that sort of thing. Like I
not for
liked
me
it.
though.
Okay, well, anyways, if
That was
those of you
that
that have
was
seen it
episode
know what we're
before
talking
that.
about, it was a little obnoxious and absurd, but like in a fun way, I thought. Um,
Uh, full total Dark Knight vibes. That's
um,
all I'm gonna say.
Zach, I know
Yeah,
you love aspirational heroes, you love Superman and the
Yes,
Justice
I do.
Society and all this stuff.
Very
You
true.
have got to find some time to catch up with this series because
I really do. It's been on my radar. I have a whole bunch of friends that have been watching the anime. I hear the manga does it better, but I don't have money to buy out the manga, and I don't have a lot
hey,
of time, screen time, like mental energy to divert to it.
hey,
So
yeah,
I do want to watch it though.
if I
I'm
can catch
hearing.
up.
I know a lot of good things. I have been watching way too much One Piece though, but I'm all caught up, so that frees up all of my anime time.
yeah.
So I will be getting caught up on my hero soon.
So I just
Yeah,
want to
if
say, watching this season when it was done, my first thing that came to my mind was like, this is why Warner's and Disney are getting embarrassed at the box office because little studio in Japan is putting out this anime like once a year, and it is blowing the socks off. Like the story when you watch like Endgame, just this season 6 made Endgame seem boring. It made it just was like, oh, I thought like the whole build up to Endgame, and at the time it was pretty epic. You're like, oh damn, Thanos was the big final showdown. Like this fine,
This is because this
holy
is like the it's the superhero or the superhuman like liberation war arc or something, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, but then like I said, it goes a step further past that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I
It's
might know. I do know where it. I've heard like people talk about where
the
it
rise
leads,
of a
and
hero.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
2/3
But
of the season are the conflict of trying to fight the bad guys and doing rather poorly at it. And the evolution of Deku as the inheritor of One for All, just his arc just has such a sweet spot to it. And like I was by the time the whole season wrapped up, I was like, this is how you do a Superman story. Like it's
so
not
I
about
gotta say. Oh no, go ahead.
I
Finish
was
up.
say it's not about being super powerful and whooping ass because Deku is super powerful. He's as far as the heroes go, he's the most powerful. And in season 6, he kind of shows it where it's like, dude, he just leaves everyone behind. And you're like, oh damn, he's super powerful. But the story keeps him in check, and it's like his power doesn't matter. The story is about what he does with the power and how he his commitment to helping people, and just by the time it's all said and done, I'm like, this is why I love Superman. I don't love him because he can freaking sneeze and blow galaxies away like he did in the Silver Age. That's just stupid. I love him because he's got all this power, but he chooses to sacrifice his time in this world
Yes,
to the benefit of others. And Deku is like
we
one of
run
those type of heroes. He's this aspirational
and
heroes that he can't not help people.
for those who are playing the game in post crisis, Superman.
I don't have any alcohol in my house.
He ran
I'm
himself.
drinking.
No, but during the original Radicare story, not to be confused with after the death of Superman, is where basically Superman runs himself so ragged he starts basically having a split personality.
Is that where the red and
caused
blue?
by the device.
Is that where there's red Superman and blue Superman?
No.
Oh, okay.
This is 1989 to 91.
Yeah. Okay.
It's actually to 1990, and like I said, he basically he will not stop. He has to keep going, keeps push-ups going. Deku, we all know from the very beginning, Deku likes to shoulder all responsibility. So, like I said, this season was really like,
He
what do we
doesn't
do
like to.
if Deku decides?
He's in a situation where he doesn't feel like
he doesn't want anybody to
has
hurt.
to. Yeah, like he's just.
Yes.
It's like Superman. He's just like, I'm in a
Exact
position
thing.
like if Batman comes along, he's just gonna get crushed. Like Deku's in a situation where he's like, no one can help me because they're not powerful enough. I need to protect them.
I just wanted Dark Deku. None of you are on my level. That's all I wanted.
I'm so glad they didn't go that route, man. They just and then
that would have been awesome.
But where the story goes, like they find such a clever way. Like even though Deku on power level has clearly like left the pack at this point, they make it so like that UA, his classmates that they've been a huge part of the story through all 5 seasons. Yep. Not only are they not useless, but like they're super important because Deku can. There's only certain things that Deku can do. Like he can only Deku can do this. However, Deku can't do that without UA. Like Deku needs them to save him in a way. Like it's I don't want to say too much, but
yeah.
But
it sounds
that's what
really.
I got Flash Team vibes, and that's I was like, that's really what I didn't like about it.
It sounds really all right. So y'all are gonna RDV. I know is gonna roll his eyes when he hears this. It sounds like really similar to One Piece because like the current story arc is it's like one of those big culmination climactic arcs where it's like what My Hero is going through right now, where it's like the big conflict thing, and the main antagonist Luffy. He's another one of those heroes that wants to do like the aspirational thing, but he's more of like he's less of a Spider-Man aspiration type of guy. He's more like a thing or like a brawler where it's like if he gets knocked down, he just like has this willpower thing where he gets back up again. But he's got
Hogan?
like kinda. But then he's also got like his teammates or his crew that are very much like what UA is with Deku, where it's like they'll be there to like help him do things because there's only things that they can do and there's only things that their captain can do. So they do sound very, very similar.
We've seen this in the comics before with Justice League, where Batman's like, I don't need you, It's like, and they're like, oh, no, but Bruce, even you need help sometime,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's like it embodies the. It's sorry, one more quick. It just embodies the best things about that I love.
Humanity.
It's obviously it's very different. It's obviously it's an anime and it's not DC Comics, but if you just strip all of those elements away and say what are the core values in the comics that I enjoy, and for me it's like the heroism, the self-sacrifice, the holding to virtues, not standing by, great power comes great responsibility. Parker. A lot of these type of themes that are prominent. This show has it, like, and it executes on such a high level, like the writing, like, you get a whole season of like what you wished. Like, I look back and go, man, like I said, I'm not trying to trash on Endgame. When Endgame came out, it was big and epic and stuff, but now I'm just kind of like, oh, like this is so amazing.
I'd say the better comparison for Deku would be Spider-Man. He is so selfless. He'll basically doesn't want anyone else to get hurt. He'll basically put himself on the line for people, just because it's the right thing to do.
That's what Superman does.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Spider-Man is more the underdog, though. Kind of like Deku's analogies. Yeah.
Except that Deku's the most powerful hero. He's not. I can see. I'm not saying he's not like Spider-Man. Yeah. There are Spider-Man elements to him, but anyways, I'm just like I watched, I've finished, and I was like, and Endgame was a big movie, so I go, okay, that deserved all its success. But compare it to like Black Adam, and I know some of you guys like Black Adam, and I'm not trying to trash on the things
It's
you
fun,
like or
but
whatever,
it's
but I
not
was like,
great.
man, it just
Man,
it
even
just
Avengers
the
need help with Captain Marvel.
contrast, it just made Black Adam feel so mid, just paint by numbers and blah blah blah. Like I was like, where's you? I watch MHA and I feel like it's
Hey,
inspired. Like I'm like, I gotta
there's
see
nothing
more.
wrong with paint by numbers, unless you
Eh,
color outside the line.
I like coloring outside the lines.
And not to beat the
I
anime
I
bandwagon.
totally get what you're saying though. Because I was looking forward to Black Adam, but and you're right, it is a very mid movie. I enjoyed, I had fun with it, but there's like, if you give me a choice between like that or like Civil War or Infinity War, like those are the better made
I
movies.
love how everyone uses mid now since I start using on the channel with the meme.
Yeah, it's
And I
your
normally
fault.
mean
You
mid
and
to
that.
be like it's okay. I shouldn't
Yeah,
even use mid. Mid was too good for Black Adam in my opinion. Like
I guess it's just funny because I started since I did it weird. All
I'd
happening is
call it
like
mid. I'd say it's mid.
maybe I'm just paying more attention to it, but I mean like it's just kind of funny and just like chasing ghosts.
yeah, you're right.
He's
And
it's like what's going on here?
and what spawned my going down this track of anime was the hot take thing, and I was like, I was going to transition with hot takes. I'm watching a new anime that some of you may or may not have
Ooh,
seen, called Fire Force.
nice.
And
It's actually
Yes,
are you
I
watching
know
it?
this one. I am watching. I have watched both seasons. I am reading the manga.
yeah,
I'm
Oh,
you're
trying to get caught up in the manga. Yeah,
I did
you're
not
it's a good.
think
that's
I
funny.
enjoyed it.
we
Yeah.
started watching it because we didn't have any MHA. And we're like, we got to watch something new, and so someone suggested Fire Force. I was like, oh yeah, I think I saw that. I'm like, I'm down. Like I know like the way that I was like, oh the way the Japanese do it, it's gonna be about firefighters. But
Uh huh.
I watched a show called uh Kuro's Basketball. I think I'm pronouncing that right,
Oh yeah, the
on
basketball one, the Chinese
Netflix,
one.
Uh
which I
huh.
also
Yeah.
recommend. Super fun. I don't even like basketball, but the way the Japanese do it, they make it like playing basketball is like being the superhero. Like it just the way that their take on it was just super fun and cool, and you get behind all this cast of characters.
They did that with
I
with volleyball too. My
Yeah.
Yeah, they
sister
have
loved it.
Haiku, which is also really
Haiku.
good.
Yeah.
Haiku is good, but Haiku is a little bit more realistic to being like a sports thing, whereas
Right.
Kuroko's basketball feels like you're watching MHA, except they're battling on the
Oh,
court.
okay.
You're like,
Okay.
it's weird, but it works. Like they figure out a way to make it work. Um, so I was like, oh, they're gonna do that with firefighters. They're gonna like it's gonna be a show about firemen, but the way they're gonna tell it is like make it seem like fighting fires, being like a superhero, and all the characters are gonna have like their abilities to fight fire is gonna just be totally unrealistic. But so that's why I was
Well,
like,
then watch
then
Cummins.
I watch it, and it is that, but it is
Yeah.
so much more. I was like,
It's a
holy
lot
crap!
more. It's part supernatural. It's part like post-apocalyptic. There's a lot to it.
Yes, and
Dude,
I'm
the Japanese are
so
they're so good at like. I didn't realize you could do that many superpowers revolving around just fire.
yeah. No,
Like
I mean
it's so
it
cool.
is it is a little formulaic in the sense that if you've watched a lot of these like MHA, One Piece, Fairy Tale, um, I'm trying to think of other ones that follow the same
One
type
Punch
of
Man.
yeah, Black
I think.
Clover. Well, One Punch Man's a little different. That was kind of a satire, but like
Oh
Black
yeah, 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 you're
Clover,
right.
like these shouju animes where it's got like the kid hero and his like friends and they take on it does follow like that type of formula, but it's the execution level and like I'm falling in love with this anime because it's not just hey they're firefighters. There's actually like this whole like lore going on where like people are turning into these things called infernals, which are like demons, and they're not actually firefighters. Fire force is like a whole different thing than firefighters. Just fight normal fires. Fire force fights the infernals, and the characters have powers. They're called pyrokinetics, and
Yep.
there's this whole like post-apocalyptic background. There's a ton of world building, and the animation is for a TV series is really good, really
Yeah.
on point. Like probably even better than MHA. Um, just from a physical like animation standpoint. I highly recommend if people like that type of stuff, worth checking out. It does start off a little rough. I would recommend at least getting 6 episodes or so in before you really make a judgment to it, because it starts to like open up as it goes.
It's also not a super long anime, or not a super long manga, I should say. Whereas I know a lot of people get nervous about reading One Piece or like a lot of these other anime that have been going on for years because it's so big and it can look like really overwhelming. Fire Force isn't quite so large. It's like the manga has already wrapped up, so the anime is basically just catching up to the manga. So there is like an end point. It's not still ongoing. So
I
yeah,
don't
I think it
necessarily
is a
mind
good
that.
one worth looking at.
What
Yeah, I
if
don't either, but I know some other
something's really
people.
good, I almost don't want it to end. Like I'm like at the point where
Same. Yeah.
I'm like MHA's probably only got 1 or 2 more seasons.
Well, the writer has said he's wrapping up the manga, or he's in the process of wrapping up the manga.
So
So
I'm
yeah,
like, I don't want this to end. But
yeah, same. I love my ongoing comics. I love my ongoing stories.
yeah.
But the cool thing, the one I will say, this is the good thing. One of the good things about manga though, is that they won't keep a series going just because we have to keep it going so we can keep milking it for cash. Like they have an end goal in sight, and once they hit it,
Oh no,
unless
man.
somebody has
One
a
Piece is over 1,000 volumes.
Oh yeah, but even the writer for that one said he's entering the final arc. So even that one's gonna have an end point.
You're gonna
What are they
tell
trying to
me
go
that
for?
all
Walking Dead?
1,000 issues are relevant? Like you need that for the story. That's not
Of the
filler.
manga, not the anime. The anime does have filler, but the manga does not.
That's hard to believe.
I have friends that say reading the manga is a way better experience than the anime. Because you can go through the same story in a fraction of the time it takes if you're just watching the anime. Because the anime does have filler. The anime does replay a lot of scenes over and over. There's quite a bit of gripe about how the studio handles things. But with the manga, you don't get that. So, but yeah, no. But I'm saying though, in contrast to like how some comics here in the West are run, where people will just like milk a title, just to the point of where they're not doing anything interesting with the characters anymore, but just so they can continue to milk that IP for cash. Like we see like with
Transition time.
Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, Batman, they're just reusing old ideas over again.
Transition time.
So
speaking of milking
transition time,
IPs,
sorry.
let's not milk this whole manga thing.
Yes.
We're not
I'll
rating my
just say
manga.
this: you lost me in
Not yet.
Infernals. That's too close to Eternals, and I just started falling asleep there.
They're nothing
I'll
like
say this:
Eternals. They're like
Ash.
demons.
Yeah.
They're fire
Yeah,
demons.
yeah.
Called
One
Infernals.
show that
Kind of
really,
like zombie demons, yeah.
I'll just say this: getting away from anime, one show that actually really did surprise me, because I mainly I've been reading the manga.
I'm really
Not the
trying
manga,
to transition, folks.
sorry, the comic. I've been reading the comic by Titan, and it's this common writer is 01. Dude, I watched it on. It's on all the whole first 2 seasons are on Tubi for free to watch. And I gotta say though, I actually not a show I'd really want to watch. It's like it's not like Power Rangers, but if you could say, but you could say that the guys do use Morphers and they get the powers, whatever. But they do battle against like it's like the villains actually use guns, real guns, and actually shoot people, kill people. And it's modern. It came out in 2019, and it's a Japanese show. I said
Speaking of modern and been here since 2019, let's welcome the people in our audience.
Well, I did before. You guys were just busy.
What are you talking about? I'm gonna welcome Tehillim as being first. You get the no prize for being here. Good to see you, Tehillim. Hopefully, you're still here to hear the. Zach decided not to stay in the chat, but to come party crash. But you're welcome. Good to see you, Zach. Maranya is also in here. And she says failure is to launch live stream on time. Oh man, she's dogging us. Dominic is here. Good to see you, Dominic. Jay, also good to see you, Jay. Especially when Jay's not trolling me. Skip is in the house. Sorry I didn't respond to light the beam quicker. I got behind in all this talk about anime and stuff. But light the beam. Go Kings tomorrow night. Get them Warriors. let's see who else do I recognize in the chat. I think that's Ahsoka's here. Good to see you, Ahsoka.
Hey,
And that's
Ahsoka.
it. If you haven't posted anything in the chat, then I don't recognize you're here yet, but you're free to lurk and listen in. Jump in the chat. Everyone here is pretty friendly. And we'll talk about some comics. What do you guys besides some of the feature books that we're going to talk about tonight? If it is anything like, well, with this, has anything surprised you? Has any books that you've encountered this week that kind of came out of nowhere, or you just weren't expecting to be as good as it was? That wasn't like outside the norm for you.
Um, I I don't know that I was really surprised too much by mine. It was a pretty big Marvel week actually for me. I had like 3 or 4 Marvel books, and I'm not super surprised. Actually, well, I take that back. 1 or 2 of them I am surprised that they ended up being as good as they were. I was expecting kind of like at a 5 or a 6, and some of them ended up being like a 7 or 8 or on my scale. So yeah, they were some pretty good reads.
Such
So I
as
got such as okay, I'll jump right into it then. By all means, no, I picked up my 2 favorite ones that I picked up from Marvel this week, which is what I'm sticking with because I'm saving the ambassadors for when we talk about it. But Moon Knight number 22 by Jed McKay was really good. I really enjoyed that one. It was mainly a Tigra issue. It wasn't even a whole lot of Moon Knight, but the focus that they chose to put on Tigra for this issue, I thought was really good and really well done. And then of
wait,
course,
time out. Moon Knight is like normally in your top pick the week that it comes out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're speaking about out of the norm books.
Out of the norm for me, Guardians of the Galaxy #1.
That was a good one too. I was kind of hesitant about that one. I wasn't sure how they were going to do with that one because the last time Guardians got rebooted, we got that really weird Al Ewing one that made Star-Lord buy and Polly and all that.
198 out of 233 people liked it.
Yeah, that was a good one. I think it won best comic of the week on League of Comic Geeks. Actually, the poll they do.
I don't know about that, but I mean, for me, it was interesting to see the MCU characters on, but we didn't have Rocket in there.
Oh, they've done that before.
Yes.
Donny Cates did it without he started without Rocket Raccoon.
But let's say he's not going to join the cast later on.
Oh no, of course not. No.
Yeah.
He probably will.
Good.
But
Guardians of the Galaxy without Rocket Raccoon is like X-Men without Wolverine.
So this was a very edgy I'd say Guardians of the Galaxy versus the Guardian, like you see in the we did with Dan Abbott. It was more comedy. This was more a little bit more starting off. He's like, we get a space western. I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, it's Space Cowboy or Cowboy Bebop.
Abbott and Lanning had some comedy, but I think that's not like comedy isn't what I automatically. Bendis's was definitely more comedy.
Well, I didn't say this was comedy. I said.
Oh no! You were talking about Abbott and Lanning's being comedy.
Yeah.
So
Dan
like,
Abbott.
That one's more like classic sci-fi. I think of like Star Wars or something when I think of
the way
Abbott
they introduced Rocket Raccoon was the comic relief in that book through most of it. And then Drax being, like I said, this is kind of like they rebooted it because they want to tie into the movies.
Yeah, right.
But I did like the fact that it started off different than most of them for me. It started off in the space western, them trying to evacuate a planet. And then you find out who the actual villain is. Like, I was like, what? Now I need to know more. Why? How did this happen? What's going on? The biggest complaint I saw from anybody was like, oh, so we're ignoring the previous one, Ewing. Hell yeah, you are, because all of them do that.
Yeah, that's true. Unfortunately, it's true. I would like there to be a little bit more continuity between all these endless relaunches, but
the reason I don't want, honestly, I want continuity if it was back in the 80s, early 90s. Not today, because there's a lot of bad runs, and you might get a good run in there in the middle. And I take on the shit that they did before. So to me, it's better just to start over, ignore the previous run, and to go. But I don't know. A good writer can take previous stories and fix them, but I don't want them spending the whole entire time in his run fixing the mistakes of the previous writer.
Yeah, I think just keep keep it at a clean slate. But yeah, no, Guardians 1 was I actually enjoyed that one too. I wasn't quite sure what to think, like how it was gonna go. I do like the writers. I do like Lanning and Kelly, or Lanzine and Kelly. I like their Captain America run, which was another one I was surprised that I liked. I liked that Captain America Cold War #1 this week. I actually really liked that one. That was surprising to me.
I'm glad you're the one that liked it. I did.
Yeah, I thought it was. You know what? I actually here's what I liked about it,
Hot
because it's like
takes.
it's a
Right.
combination of the Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson books, but I don't feel like I missed out on anything by not reading the Sam Wilson book.
But
Like,
now, because of this, now you're forced to read to get the full story, the main parts of the story. You have to read Sam's Captain America books now going forward.
we'll see.
Checklist.
We'll
They have
see.
they have a checklist between the both books, and then they're gonna have this was the alpha, I guess. They're gonna have the omega
Yeah,
at the end.
that's normally
So,
how it goes.
so
But
I'm
if
like,
it's
so here's why I don't like it, Zach.
okay.
I don't like Bucky just becoming a cold, heartless kind of villain of the death of Roger. So that's I just don't want. Hey Cap, what's going on, Cap? What's
That
this?
was funny, actually. I enjoyed that
Uh,
joke. That was funny. Because I have another friend of mine named Zach, and we do the same thing whenever we're around other friends. We'll go, "Hey, Zach, how are you doing, Zach?" "I'm fine, Zach. How are you, Zach?" I thought that was funny. I'm sorry.
the other
You might not, but I thought it was great.
the other thing I didn't like in it was the overuse as far as just the subtle humor they put in this book. Like I said, I just
Oh, no. He wants dark, gritty, grim crap. Maranya, get him. He wants dark, gritty heroes that aren't aspirational and lighthearted.
you guys keep saying ass a lot. I'm not liking that.
No, I here's the thing. I liked it. I listen. I did a short comic review on it on Twitter earlier today, and I said I didn't like the direction they were taking Bucky in, but I'm gonna write it out. I'm gonna see, because maybe there'll be a twist in the second or third act that
Yeah,
I don't see coming.
and supposedly, I did not know this, but apparently, Falcon and because I refuse to call him Cap, he's not Captain America, because Captain America is Steve Rogers. Um, I don't care for the whole Dimension X. I don't care for
It's
Eon.
Z. It's Dimension Z.
Whatever. Who gives a shit? It's stupid.
I do. It revolves around the Brubaker era of Captain America, which
It's
is the
as dumb as
greatest Captain
bringing it and
America.
like saying like Peter Parker has a sister. I just don't care for it.
Where has Peter Parker's sister ever been relevant in the last 5 years? You just pulled that out of thin air.
No, she's been around.
She's been in one story, and that was the
One
one she was
story?
introduced in.
They
That was the one she was introduced in.
It was like in three or four different titles going on in the
Which
past
one?
years.
She was in 3 and 4 different titles.
All right. Do you want me to spend my time listing my sources? Do you want me to you want us to actually get through this? We can get to the actual books.
I mean, I wanted to get through this, but you interrupted the books that I was talking about.
Interrupted.
Let's not have fighting. This is
Technically, he's talking about the books as surprise, not the books
guys-
you're reading every week.
You guys need some Canadian whiskey.
I would actually love some. I actually got drunk though last week, so now I know what my limits
I
are.
that. I know what you're doing.
I was making I was doing a deep cut.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Making
But
reference to Canadian whiskey. If you watch all of the proper channels, YouTube channel, you'll see how it interconnects.
yes,
So
yes.
I'm
Canadian whiskey.
I'm doing a shared
I'm more-
universe among the.
And Ash, the fact that Zach doesn't recognize that reference, he was on the panel when I mentioned it too about the book. I was more upset that they're drinking Canadian whiskey.
He might have been drinking some Canadian whiskey. Who knows?
he might have left to go buy some.
I might have been drinking rum. I'm not sure.
But so Zach, you're more the Marvel up to date guy, obviously. When did Sam start dating Misty Knight?
I thought they were together for a while. I'm not up to date on Sam Wilson. The last time I read Sam Wilson having any type of romantic interest, he was locking lips with Jane Foster in the Avengers. I think I knew that he and Misty Knight had gotten together, but I just had forgotten about it until she showed up.
They just like Marvel just tries so hard to make me dislike Sam Wilson. Like, it's bad
I
enough that they
haven't.
forced him into the Captain America thing and it was stupid. It's bad enough that they can't just like evolve Falcon to just be awesome as Falcon, and they have to
Right.
be like, no, you're getting a promotion. Like, who you were was insignificant until we put you in the shoes of a better hero. Like, to me, it seems so racist and like just from a consumer standpoint, I hate that. But also from a reader standpoint, I'm like, I just don't like this. It's not cool. But then this whole thing of like, oh, so now Sam is sleeping with Thor's ex girlfriend. Like, what? What are you
Oh no,
doing?
he's not doing that anymore. Now
Not
he's
anymore.
with
Well,
Misty
not
Knight.
anymore. But I mean, my point was it
Yeah.
was there, right? It's
Oh
like
yeah,
when
yeah, yeah,
Doctor
yeah.
Strange was sleeping with
So
Elektra. I'm just like,
I,
this is
I-
so
Yeah, I remember.
stupid.
Oh, and he slept with Captain Marvel too. Let's not forget that. I think he slept with
Who
Captain
hasn't
Marvel,
slept with
or he
Captain
told.
Marvel?
and she said it was magical.
Who
So
hasn't?
yeah.
That's a
So
good
Mirania's
question.
whole. Did you read Mirania's whole entire comment?
Not yet.
I was
You
reading. I was
go.
going off of her Superman stuff from
E-stream.
Oh, okay. So she says, I want a respite from the dark, gritty non-heroes. I want heroes to be heroic and aspirational. Want villains to be villains. Never the twain shall meet. I, and that's kind of I have a problem with Bucky. Bucky, I gotta join this new world order. You know, so I can help take it
Here's the
down.
thing: he's not Bucky anymore.
No,
Yeah.
He's
He's
been
called the
transformed into
Revolution.
Winter Soldier.
it's,
Or,
they don't know what to do with him. Either he's undercover being a villain,
yeah,
or
but he can never go back to being Bucky. So he is
so.
a scarred soul.
The only good thing, and I look forward to in the upcoming issues, is that Black Widow's gonna come over there and just basically beat the shit out of him, and own him. Be like,
So
dude, like, what's up with you again?
here's the thing, regarding the Morania's comment. I respect that comment, and I mostly concur with that comment. However, I don't want every hero to be the same. I don't want every hero to be just as goody Boy Scout as Superman, and every villain to just be as evil, as like Darkseid or whatever. Like, I want
I
those
just
kind of heroes. I like that, but look, I do respect that there are like Punishers in the world. Like, that variety. Now, I understand that those may not be the characters for everyone, and that's totally cool. If someone says, you know what, I just don't enjoy Punisher, it's not my bag, totally cool. I just respect that they exist. For me, like Hulk is not my bag, but I totally respect the tragedy storyline of Hulk, that he's the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type of story, and he's the man versus the monster. Like, it doesn't really work for me, but I want it there because I don't want every Marvel character to just be Peter Parker 2.0. You know? So variety, I guess, is spice of life. That's I do, and everyone gets to pick the kinds of heroes that they want. So if RDV back going to defend RDV's statement and kind of against what you're saying, Zach, like, it's fine that he wants characters like Captain America to not necessarily be jokey or anything like that. If he wants a little bit darker and grimmer side, let's face it, ever since the 2000s or the 2010s, what they've been doing to Captain America, it kind of makes sense that he's that way.
look at my perfect example. What I want of Captain America is Brubaker's Winter
Yeah.
Soldier story. Cap
Mhm.
was.
That is the peak Captain America story, for
That's
sure.
probably I want. If you're gonna have Bucky be a villain, it has to be that. But you can't have like also you throw in like other side characters being humorous into the story. It doesn't fit.
Yep. I am. I don't like where they're taking Bucky, but at the same time, I'm gonna. I don't want my first glimpse of this to be my own. Like, I want to
Well,
like see the story through to the end in case there's like a plot twist that I
you
miss or
mentioned
something.
Bucky, or you want to call him, James Buchanan, whatever Barnes, whatever.
You can call him Bucky behind the scenes. I'm just saying, I
Yeah,
just wanted to clarify that the actual
no,
character
yeah,
of Bucky
yes,
Yeah,
is
and
not.
I feel since Winter Soldier, they have no idea what to do with him. Either he's
it's true.
good edgy and he's he's fugitive. He's on, he's worked with villains, or he's Cap. I'm better now. I am a hero. It's like, can you make up your mind? They don't do them. So basically, they just throw them. You're like, who can infiltrate this place? Who has no, who can do this? Let's just throw Bucky in there. It's like my thing is, I'm just offended by the thing that I don't like about the storyline is the whole thing that we already had Taki's code saying Captain America, you didn't create yourself. The Daughters of Liberty created you and kept you in check and stuff. And then we find out his shield wasn't even made by it had another alternative meaning. What if the shield wasn't really patriotic as it was? What is it, evil conspiracy? George Soros, kind of like New World Order. Like that's the reason the shield is. They wanted Captain America to be their go-to guy, but he strayed from their path. Now it's like now they're coming out of the woodworks and then trying to basically like I'm tired of the secret societies. We've had Illuminati. I'm like, we've had Hydra, but wait, this villain, this New World Order, they take all the villains, aim Hydra, and make them work together as their lackeys. They're the most evil. It's like pretty soon it's gonna be like what they did with actually I can say actually with Ram Vzoing. You could even argue with Ram Vzoing is not that great of an idea because we had a Court of Owls, but now we're hearing like the Arkhams are there. Wait, so who's the worse villain? The Arkhams or the Court of Owls? It's just getting so redundant to me. Like, who's gonna be worse than all of these combined? Again, there's gonna be a new villain who like use the villains you have. Well, it's redundant. We can't use Red Skull anymore. He's been done to death. No. You can use Red Skull. You can use certain villains. It's just you actually have to have creative mind and actually respect the characters and profiles. If these writers cannot hack taking existing toys and doing an actual good story with them, then maybe they shouldn't be writing these type of level of content. Maybe they should go to like writing Squirrel Girl.
Well, that's the problem Marvel and DC are both facing, though, is they don't have nearly the bullpen to support the
Yeah.
books that they're doing. And so inevitably, if I'm being just super generous, 75% of their books are going to have people that are not qualified to write them. So they're all going to, it's, well, which books, and I'm being super generous. So which books get them and which books don't. And unfortunately, that's the way that it goes. I think an answer like, what do you do with Bucky? Well, what you do is what the previous best writer did with them, and you just maintain course. If you're not good enough to do, say, like what Frank Miller did with Daredevil or Walt Simonson did with Thor, or whatever. If you're not good enough to like reimagine the character and take him to new heights or whatever, or like what Brubaker did with Cap, if you're not good enough, just stay the course. Just try to keep the boat afloat. That's really what your best thing to do is, and try to give fans. I think fans are pretty forgiving. They may know it's like, oh, you're not my favorite writer, but at least you're like keeping it mostly good. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Oh, but if you really are good, if you are an Ed Brubaker or someone, then do something. I would love to see Marvel, if they had the quality to do it, is make Winter Soldier, that character Bucky, make him the preeminent sort of like espionage, like Mission Impossible. Make him that kind of character where he goes in and does that sort of infiltration sort of type stuff, um, secret ops type things. They got plenty of characters to fill in the hero space of just being like, I'm here to save people and be goody good, like, and when it comes to those type of stories, they don't have very many, or at least not many that characters people are interested in. And I think he would be a good connecting point to other characters in the Marvel universe to have those stories interconnect once in a while, like Captain America or Black Panther. Um, so, anyways, that's my 2 cents. But looks like Skip is leaving. Is saying, "Light the beam, light the beam, go Kings." Um, I don't have any books that came out of left field for me because I don't really read books that aren't great. So I'm cheating.
Well, my books
I'm
are like
not even gonna. I'm not even gonna bring up Fantastic Four because I don't want to set anyone off. I know Breen will probably listen and he'll chime in, so I'm not even gonna bring up Fantastic Four tonight.
Well, if it's
um
if it's
yeah.
if it's legitimately awesome,
I mean, I liked it, but that doesn't mean it's legitimately awesome. I like all kinds of stuff. So
well,
Yes.
y- like when I say like,
But
if you think about it with a critical eye,
well, with the critical eye, it's probably not that great, but I just enjoyed it.
but your critical eye, like don't second guess and think of like how would Ash think of the story or how would RDV like think critically for yourself. And if it's still what I'm trying to say is if it still stands up, if you're like, no, I'm really because sometimes we can all fanboy about things. Like I saw Phantom Menace 4 times on opening day. 4 times. Have
That
you
is
ever gone to a
extreme.
movie, any movie, multiple times in the
Not,
same day, much less 4? I saw
I
it
think
4
two is the
times.
most I've done.
I saw
Yeah,
it 8 times total in the theater. Now, I still will defend Phantom Menace, and I still think it's a fine movie. Nowhere near. I've never seen any movie 8 times other than that movie. It's a severely flawed movie, but I was a total fanboy on that day. You don't understand. Like Star Wars is the number one thing, like fandom I've ever been. It's the first movie I ever saw. I've never been a bigger fan of anything than Star Wars my entire life. Um, and so we didn't ever think we were going to get those movies. We just thought those are the three. That's it. George Lucas is going to ride off in the sunset. And so when they're doing another Star Wars movie, I was all in. And so there was nothing like I was only going to see it through the rosiest of rose-colored glasses. Um, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. I just want to encourage people not to totally deceive themselves. It's okay to say, "Hey, man, I'm just a huge fan, and so I'm gonna be really forgiving on a lot of these things." But I guess when I'm doing a show like this, I feel bad if I just ignore all that because not everyone's gonna forgive the things that I forgive, and so I try to be a lot more critical than I would be about just the things myself. If that makes sense, I don't know.
yeah, I understand that. Um, for me personally, like the books last week, like I've been following Merck Publishing's Born in Blood. We had Duran on our channel. And I gotta say though, like I liked it. I mean, but not as much as I liked the previous issues, so that's kind of let down for me. But the reason I've been really getting into this series, and along with the other ones, because they're because basically Merc Publishers is world building. Basically, what we want Erratic to do: join the world building as far as the heroes. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it pays off at the end. We have Aaron Sparrow has been working on some of the other books, and like you said, Joe Corral has been doing some co-writing and editing as well. Um, like I said, I'm hoping to see what happens now because now that all basically 3 books, I basically have ended their runs, and then it's gonna build up into something. So I want to know if they're gonna have an Alpha and Omega, something like that, combined book. But but yeah, I mean, as far as last week, there's a lot of good books come out, and there was only like 2 duds on my list, two or kind of duds.
Well, you can see on the
And
screen is my pull list,
yes,
which is a
yes,
lot for
you
me.
yeah, you have is that Captain Hook's the Croc? Is he Tick?
So one of these books was
Is that
better
like
than
yeah,
all the
there
rest,
yes, and the Samurai Doggy.
and it wasn't Samurai Doggy.
You are now disowned. I don't know who you are anymore.
are you reading Samurai Doggy too
Yeah,
now, Vic?
I have been,
Yeah,
yes.
he's on the
Oh,
bandwagon.
okay, okay.
I'm
You,
saving up for the
you
trade
got a
though.
convert. You got a convert. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, not a
he's on the
convert. Well, actually,
bandwagon
no.
like I am with the Kings.
I no, I read it before. Actually, I had to read the first 2 issues along with a well, for those who were lifelong fans of this channel before we did the boys. we used to talk about books. We'd give each other the read.
We used to
if
talk
had,
about other
we'd read
books.
them. Yeah,
Yeah, right. Remember
yeah,
that?
yeah. Samurai Doggy and what was it? 8 Million Genies were the two books that Ash recommended that I read. And Samurai Doggy was interesting because I read the first two issues, like, wow, this is like really cool art, insane kind of like style. Not used to it, and I was kind of getting like you have like I want to see Yosaki Yojimbo as far as because he had a lot of animal and robot characters. Um, so it's not there's no humans that we see in this book so far. We don't even know who basically killed his mother and like took his brothers. That could be the only human, or he could be a robot. We don't know. But it's out of the box. It's very good writing, and the art is just phenomenal. Um, Sad to say though that the book to the right of it we're talking about didn't feel as much as exciting. But Noctera wasn't for me was a filler last week.
I liked
My
it actually.
my
I
club was
heard
great.
I
I'm
heard
back.
your review about it, and so like I heard about your review before I read it,
Yeah.
and so I went in and I was like, I actually enjoyed it a lot. Actually, I thought
I
there was a lot of good exposition from it.
You should never hear our reviews. You should read the books first before you hear our reviews. Because
I know, but I hadn't bought my books yet, so
that's like me telling you I went to Galaxy's Edge, and I'm in the parking lot and I'm hating it. And you're like, you know what? I'm probably gonna hate it too. And then you go in there and it's like, what the hell is he talking about? No, like I said, I don't want to mislead anybody or mislead anybody who's thinking like, because I don't find a book. No, doesn't mean the book sucks. Ash likes a lot of books that I don't like. I like the books
it's
that Ed
true.
doesn't like.
Yep.
Zach just likes a lot of books that neither of us like.
That's true. That's very true. I
Uh,
make no effort to hide that either.
Usagi Yojimbo. I've never read anything by Stan Sakai at all. Never even dabbled into it. Only read this book because it has Ninja Turtles in it. That was my gateway into this. My drug, you just say. Uh, Drugs are good in moderation. Okay, kids. All right.
No, don't listen to that. Don't listen to them, kids.
I said I'm not trying to mislead anybody. So if
Don't
they're,
listen to Uncle Vinkman on that one. Drugs
I'm
are
not,
bad.
I am an uncle, but I don't tell my kid. No.
So you guys
But
have
yeah,
you guys have gone on way longer than I expected about talking about this. I was just speaking of filler. I was just trying to have some filler myself. I want to speak about one book before we
what's
get into our
crazy?
main books that we're all going to
Okay.
talk about. My book. This is on my short list for book of 2023 is Chroma.
Ooh.
So that the issue that you see there that I have pulled, that's the fourth and final issue. Um, Now these are big books; they're like 60-page books. So the series is actually a lot longer than you would think, just 4 issues. But man, holy cow! This is one of those weird, like I just stumbled onto it type books, and I've just got up screen so people can kind of just see the art. It's not like the greatest pencil illustrations, but as far as like comic book art goes and like sequential storytelling, it is, I don't want to say masterful, but it is well above average. Really good. The coloring, the use of colors in this book is actually super important. Hence the name of the book is called Chroma. It's a play on words, obviously, like chromatic. This is if you like world building, there's a ton of world building in this book. I'm only showing pages from issue 1 here because I don't really want to spoil the bigger story. I was like, if I threw it through issue 4, and there's like so much. Um, but this fantasy world where people live in the cities, or they cover everything in ash and clay and stuff to make it black and white because demons live outside the cities, and the demons can't see in like black and white. They can only see colors. And so when color is revealed, then the demons will come and whatever. So that's kind of the premise of the book.
So
There's,
avoid the colored people.
well,
Oh God.
yikes. Yeah, you can see here, for example, on this page that I have displayed is a really good use of the color indicators, and it's a flashback scene of one of the main characters, the boy Zet, whose mom was killed because She, I guess, had brought color into the city. Um, I don't want to say too much, but this is the same artist that did Oblivion Song. I think the art is even better in this book. He's also the writer, to which I came into this book going, and writers write their own stuff, and it's like he gets Robert Kirkman's a pro. Like this is better than Oblivion Song. Like this, not to knock Robert Kirkman, but man, Robert, like this guy should just be writing his own stuff. He's doing a new series with Robert, I think starting in June, called Void Rivals, which is
Void
actually
Rivals, yeah.
the beginning of a new shared universe. So that leads me to believe that Kirkman's going to be launching multiple books that will all be in the same universe, Void Rivals being the first.
That's
So
awesome.
I don't know. That's pure speculation, but based on what they said, that it's the beginning of a shared universe. What else could that mean? Um, but I just love these two characters, Zet and Chroma. They're both kids. It has a bit of that feel that I loved about Super Sons, in the sense that number one, the kids feel like kids, right? They don't. I hate stories where they write kids, but they're basically like little mini adults and they just know everything. Um, and I also not only do they know everything, but they're like emotionally mature and things like that. Like kids are in a position of self-discovery and they don't know who they are, and there's an innocence to that, but also an ignorance to that because they have a lot to learn. But that's a lot what makes a kid's story fascinating to me, and so few people seem to achieve that. Super Sons managed to do that really well, and it was a very charming story, and that's why I think has such a fan base, and it's a shame that it's gone. This book has a similarity to that. This girl Chroma, she's an outcast because she's got these colored eyes, and that they think that she's a daughter of the Demon King or whatever, and so there's a bit of a Man in the Iron Mask type parallel that goes on with her and this kid Zet, who uh, who helps her because years ago, as you saw when I was flashback, he sees a flashback of his mom who's being carted off in chains, and when he sees her, he sees the similarity. And what I love about it is there's a bit of a story. This kid Zet, like he has the heart of a hero. He's not necessarily a hero, but he's got that heart. He knows good and evil. He knows what's right and wrong, what he should do, and he's got convictions. And he helps this girl, even though he's powerless. He can't do much. And where this story goes from here, just man, I wasn't sure. I was like the fourth issue. I'm really enjoying it, but sticking the landing is a big deal. And this book, for me, stuck the landing. It managed to tell um, a very like, even though the story is involving kids, it's a very like grown up kind of fairy tale, um, and a very human story about the mistakes that we make as humans and how we let evil into our lives, and uh, how we don't communicate with each other, when we lie to each other, we let other people dictate what we should do and don't do and things like that, and just how it gets us to where we are. But it never preaches at you. It never says like, see, this is wrong. All it does is tell a story, and you just see how these characters are affected, and then you as the reader get to walk away with your own interpretations. And I so respect that from a writer. So few writers today understand how to do that. Just let the story be the story. Let the readers have their own interpretations. You don't need to tell them, here's what I'm trying to say. Here's what you should think. The book never does that. Um, and one final thing I'm going to say, because most people I think have watched Game of Thrones, regardless of their impression, because I know it's kind of a controversial. Some people, oh, Game of Thrones, whatever. Um, my favorite character in Game of Thrones, one of my favorite characters, was Khaleesi. I loved following her journey from the very first season. She's this underdog and she's going through and she's traveling on the eastern lands and raising this army and all this stuff. And she's going to come back and she's going to claim her throne and all this stuff. And she's helping all these people. And just her journey was so fascinating to watch. And I felt like I was like, man, yes, I could totally get behind why like she's this powerful, charismatic figure that people want to like serve under. You know, like she's like this girl here, Chroma, has a similar arc to that, but it wraps up differently than, of course, the way Game of Thrones did that. So if you were a person who did like the Khaleesi storyline, especially in the earlier seasons, it has a similar feel to that. Not it's not exactly the same, but I just encourage people if this what you're seeing at all sounds like it might be up your alley, if you like fantasy stories and fairy tales and good characters and interesting world building, um, maybe check this out when it comes in trade, or you might be able to find the back issues cheap. You know, one of the good thing about indies sometimes is people don't care about collecting them. So yeah. Anyways, this book astounded me. Like I said, right now it probably if I had to pick today what the best miniseries of 2023 is, it would be Chroma.
Right on.
Anyways, thanks for
Like Donkey
indulging
Kong.
me. I'm just really enthused about this book.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right. So no one awkward silence crickets. Um
Uh,
let's get to the
I mean,
book.
I'd watch it, but I gotta watch it at 8-second delay
Well,
because you're streaming the other one.
there's nothing to watch. I was just talking about the book. You can address my comments.
No,
I
you
was
were
just
showing it
showing
off on YouTube.
just so people could get just so people could get a visual what the art was. I wasn't trying to tell them a story through the book.
No. I'm
But
just
just like
saying
if you're
that.
at the store flipping through it, because you know, if you're like me, I like to kind of flip through and just see the art and see.
Did you
You
tell
know,
him how much it costs per issue?
it costs a lot.
It does have a high price point, but
It
that's
has a high
also a
price
lot of
point.
books now.
All right.
But it's a 60-page book.
Yeah,
So
there's that too.
it's like 3 comics in one almost. Um so there's that. Plus, like I said, it's really good. And if you get the trade, I think the trade is gonna be $20. I'm sure you can get like on discount. I think we talked about it was like you could probably pick it up on discount trades for like $13. So it's gonna be
How many issues is it gonna be total?
four. So four
4 issue
times,
miniseries? Okay.
let's say it's like because it's 60 pages cover to cover. If you take out the covers and the ads, so it's made probably like 55 pages. So it's over 200 pages. Gonna be as a
Right.
trade.
For
It's
20
gonna be
bucks,
it's gonna be a
that's not bad.
fatty. It's gonna be about the same thickness as the Ultra Mega Trade, which is really thick.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyways, it may not be everyone's cup of tea like we talked about, but I really enjoyed it. Um, and maybe there's gonna be someone else out there that we're really get a kick out of it as well. Put this on the screen live for you guys. We'll talk about in our main books for the week. We already hinted about this that Samurai Doggy or this book did not come to the same level as Samurai Doggy, and I will concur. This is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Usagi Ojimbo. Go
Yeah,
ahead and
I didn't even look at the back, so I didn't realize it was a wraparound cover.
oh, you did it.
No,
Yes.
'cause I'm not used to having wraparound covers on books. Like it used to be a thing, but every once in a while. But like,
Well,
Yeah.
here you go. Now you can see. I'll show it off to you.
yay!
I
Like I
am
said,
so upset that my LCS did not get a copy of it, or at least I didn't see any. When I go this week, I'll see if they have any left over.
you know what? I got the Eastman cover, so I didn't get this. I didn't get a wraparound.
Yeah,
Eastman
me
doesn't
too.
have it.
I got the Eastman
Yeah.
cover.
So
That-
right off, just looking at this, I have no idea what's going on Usagi Yojimbo, but all I know is like it's a bunch of furries, like that like each other.
Furry weebs, furry Japanese weebs.
Some
'Cause they're all
cats.
ninjas and samurai.
There's a
Yeah.
rhinoceros. I'm like, oh my gosh, rhinoceros evil! Run, Barbar!
So, once upon a time in the 80s, you could do comics with anthropomorphic animals as characters, and we just accepted it. Teenage Mutant
Nobody
Ninja
batted an
Turtles,
eye.
yeah, Usagi Ojimbo, Boris the Bear, Fish Police.
DuckTales.
Yeah,
Berenstain
yeah.
Bears.
Which is really weird because Venkman does like DuckTales and those type of things.
I
So.
like DuckTales. DuckTales is
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
but you're not bitching. You're not complaining and making fun of Usagi Ojimbo.
Oh, that's true.
No. So, like DuckTales, I watched it here or there and watch it all the time. This is a comic book form. It's a different format than actual watching a cartoon when you're like 4 or 5 years old.
DuckTales had comic books.
I didn't read the comic book, so
Oh, okay.
Comic books
So
are
I-
just
I-
cartoons without moving pictures, in my opinion.
Pretty
in my
much.
mind.
Yeah.
But like I said, jumping into this, I don't have no idea who anybody really is.
That
That was
that's
the other-
understandable. Well, you
Yeah.
know who the turtles are.
Yeah, you
Well,
know who the turtles are.
Yeah. The turtles come in at the very end of the book.
Oh, okay.
I was just like, yeah.
You've never read
It's
any
like-
Usagi Ojimbo, huh?
No, it just never really appealed to me.
Huh.
Until
And
today.
I'm also not a fan of feudal Japan. So reading this, I'm getting flashbacks to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #3. They went back in time. So instead of
Oh,
finding
yeah.
humans, they found animals that talk. But I do love the art. The art's pretty cool. I just wonder, like, if that's the only appeal to it is that they use animals that because it's a kid's book. At least
Who's the interior artist on this?
Stan Sakai.
That's a guy.
Oh, okay.
The guy who created Usagi Yojimbo is
The guy who
doing-
created Usagi Ojimbo. Okay.
Yeah. He's writing it and drawing it, everything.
Oh, right on.
But basically, this book takes the classic trope. We're gonna have two people meet, and one of them is gonna be confused for a villain, and then they're gonna fight against each other, and then they're gonna team up.
Ah, yes, that old tried and true trope.
Now, that being said, it's only the first issue. I did like this though. Them coming out of the sewers. I was like, dude, like just cue the music now. The cartoon.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage
You have to
Mutant-
say this part with the turtles when they show up felt very much like the old school Mirage turtles. They even
Angry
make
Turtles, a little.
they even make a comment where they're fighting these like robots, and they say something like, "Oh, they're like," or they say like they're think of them as giant mousers, which is
Yes.
were
The
introduced
robots.
in issue two of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, they also in arcade too. Yeah, that's why I learned
Yeah,
about
that
them.
came after issue 2.
I didn't read the comic books. That's what I'm just saying.
So-
I played the
In the
games.
very second issue ever of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, mousers were introduced. But my
But
Oh, nice.
there's no April O'Neil.
well, no,
That's
there would
so
be
far.
no point. There's no Splinter here either, or Casey. They're not really part of the story. Um,
But I want to say they look like the really edgy turtles that Eastman did,
Mm-hmm.
but slight difference is, but then you put a little bit of the personality of the cartoons. It's got blend. So more edgy of the 80s cartoon. That's how I describe it. But Mikey's comic relief is always he's the idiot. They quick pull him in. The time portal pull him in. He's like, oh what? And they pull him in, and yeah, they end up going back in time, and basically they run into Usagi Yojimbo, who mistakes them for the demons that were planking or attacking the villains. As you saw before, he beheaded one of them.
and this is not the first
So-
time, if I remember. So
Second
there's
time,
these,
yes.
there's these things
Time
called
before that.
kappa, which you see
Yeah.
here, and they're these like demons, mythological Japanese demons, and they have like water in their heads, like their head is like a little bowl, and they have to keep the
Yeah.
water in there or they'll die or whatever. Anyways, so Usagi
so-
dispatches them super easy. It's nothing, but you can see how they kind of look. And I
Same.
remember they did like way back. They did a Turtles crossover too, and I seem to remember Usagi thinking they look like Kappa. So
Yeah, so there's no really like reference as far as to the first crossover, but what we told the synopsis is supposed to be 20 years into the current Usagi's Yojimbo's future.
yeah, this is
Yes.
this is from what I understand. Yeah, this is further because it's got these two side characters. That I'm
The
one
brother
of them
and-
has only been recently introduced in the series.
Was
I
it the
don't know who the
girl
other
who's
one
married
is.
to somebody else? the one who's married to the other Panther. This book, the girl, the love
Yeah,
interest.
and they talk about in the beginning of the issue. When I need to go read because I've never read this story. At the bottom here it says "See Usagi Ojimbo Senso." So
Hmm.
you get this scene, and it basically timestamps it, saying, "Okay, this has happened in the Senso." And I seem to remember Senso being a story that was in Usagi's future.
So they're altering history by basically going back, which was already established in the comic books. They have this and probably go to their war. So this is because they're going in time. This is going to be a diverting from that. So they already changed time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Curious
So
to see how that plays out in the current books.
overall, I enjoyed this book. It was not up to the normal Usagi level for me. Like this is not a book I would ever, if anyone reads it like Vankman who's not read other Usagi, I would say don't think of this book as like representative of what Usagi Ojimbo is. I mean, it is, the art and the writer is the same, but this is not the kind of like, oh yeah, this is why I love Usagi. Like, to me, this was very mid on terms of
It's a word we get.
Usagi Ojimbo quality. I enjoyed it. I'm a big fan, so and you know, its story's not over. There's gonna be like 6 issues, so it's just the beginning of it.
Sure, yeah. Like I said,
Um,
it was a rough start for me because I really have no attachment to these other characters other than the turtles.
yeah,
But I can quickly see that they're trying to build up the characters a little bit. I just wish they had more better introduction. Like, here's a foreword from the writer. Get you caught up. What's going on this.
yeah. But part of it, I don't think you necessarily need to know anything about the plot, but what you're missing is the characterization. You know, when I read
Yeah,
it, I know who Usagi is, so
I don't know who
I don't need the story to like give me all this character development.
so
I can just jump right
here's
in.
so for me, what you do, and I've seen this with when they did crossovers with the Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters, they have a layout who the character is, and they had a brief summary of who the character is. So you had a character guide to go through,
Mm.
and it'd be the opening page.
This is a
What
tough one,
covers.
man. Usagi Ojimbo's been going on for over 35 years. There's
I,
so
I
Yeah,
know,
much.
it's a
I
long
know,
running
but
one.
like
Yeah.
you said, but even there are people like me is the first time reading the character.
Oh yeah, you're always gonna have, and you're always gonna have, like, no matter how long it's around, like, there's always gonna be somebody that hasn't seen a Star Wars movie. There's always somebody it's gonna be like their first time reading it. So
If someone who is their first reading, and they'd be like, "Well, I don't know who these characters are," and they might just rate this book as being kind of sucky, and may not go back to pick up the second issue
Yeah, I
because
can
they don't.
see that actually. It does not do a good job at all, especially since Usagi is the majority of this book. It does not
Yes,
do it. This book completely assumes you know who Usagi is, that you've read Usagi comics before. It does not at
ma-
all hold your hand, and it just picks you up right in the middle of a story, and it's like you know who these guys are. And if you are a
do
reader,
you think that might be because it's the Usagi creator? Like, he's just writing it as he would write like a normal Usagi Ojumbo book, maybe?
probably, yeah. I think at this point, yeah.
who knows? He might be so old, begrudging. He's like, if they don't know who Uzagi is, I don't give a shit. Then he's like, go read my books, and you'll know who it is. It's like one of those. I don't know. I'd be funny about this personality. He's like, I don't care anymore. I'm tired of sticking to explaining. You want to know more? He should. Here's the story here. Asterisk. You can go read more about this story. It's like
I would
my
recommend I would recommend this not be someone's first foray into Usagi Ojimbo. Um, I would pick up the trade Usagi Origins, which is just a reprint of the old Fantagraphic book, but IDW got it and they colorized it. So another little piece of trivia: Usagi Ojimbo was never colorized until the recent IDW run. So if you go back all the old Dark Horse comics and before that the Fantagraphic books, Usagi was always black and white.
Hmm.
So if you get Usagi Ojimbo Origins, which is collected in trade paperback, it's the original Fantagraphics run. So you can get the old stories from the 80s that start off. You'll get those beginnings of Usagi, a little bit more of who this character is. Now a lot of these characters are modern, so you won't necessarily, like, I don't think Jen is the rhinoceros. he's not introduced. You won't know some of these characters. Anyways, my point is, you don't need to know a whole lot. This is the type of story that you really can typically jump into, but because it's also a TMNT thing, the characterization stuff is not here. This is really more of a thing like for fans of both books. Here you go, like because they do the same thing with the turtles. To be fair, we just
Yeah.
all know the turtles. But if no one had ever read Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in their life or even saw a cartoon, you'd be like, "Who are these freaking turtles coming out of the sewer? Like, what the hell?" Like, you did. Um, but that's just the way that it is. This is the book is definitely for the fans. Zach, you got any comments? You didn't read it.
No, my shop didn't have it last week. I only went to my main shop. This week I may hit my secondary shop and see if they have it. I know sometimes they'll order books that aren't available at the first one I shop at.
You need a better.
But I do want to check it out. I do want to get it though. I saw the preview for it, or I saw the synopsis for it like a month or so ago. I thought it looked interesting. So it is on my radar.
I enjoying it. I think I've said my piece on it. Like it's I would recommend it to Usagi and Turtles fans. Everyone else beware. All right, well I guess we'll then move on since
or they should be prepared. Sorry. Wait, read it.
All right, let's move
I'm
on
just saying,
to Zach's favorite. Go ahead.
Just give me a Usagi Yojimbo index, character index. That's all I want.
Character index. How about you just go back to like what we did back in the 80s and just read the comics? You'll learn.
All right. Which ones? There's like over 1,000 probably.
I just told you.
That's right. Just
like
One
Usagi
Piece.
Yojimbo Origins.
Start at the beginning. Start at the beginning.
How expensive is that?
Probably not
I don't
very
know,
expensive.
It came out like last year. This trade, you probably get it cheap on discount trade.
Yeah.
Probably like
stock trades
less than 10
It just seems like a lot of chore to go read all of that just so I can get this book. You know what I'm saying?
Venkman, you
could just
never
give me a
have
character
problem finding books to read. If you want to read it, you'll find a way.
You know what? I'll just look at Comic Vine because they're more concerned. They're the readers than the actual writers.
What?
Comic Vine.
Oh,
They actually give you character profiles.
Oh, don't no Comic Vine me.
All right.
I forgot Comic Vine existed for a minute.
So, Ambassadors
Moving
issue
on.
2 came out this week.
Yeah.
Another book that has ass in it.
It does have ass in it. Yeah, that's, no wonder Zach's so excited about it for it.
It's aspiring, isn't it? There's some bad.
It's actually very aspiring. This was if you follow my Twitter, I try to do every week when I get my books. I try to do like these one tweet, short and sweet comic reviews, and this week Ambassadors was up there at the top of my list. As a matter of fact, if I had done top 5, this would be my number 1 book. So yeah, I loved it. First of all, Carl Keschel should be doing the art for the whole book. His art is a big step from. I know what they're doing, like getting a different artist for each issue, but Carl Keschel just, I feel like, nailed it. Like his art is so amazing. By the way, chat, if you have any recommendations of other Carl Keschel books, please hit me with them because I could, but I don't want to.
Or Comic Geeks tells you exactly.
But yeah, no, I love this whole story focusing on what is it, Captain India? There's India in the name. I remember that. But yeah, this whole origin story that he has, it's just, I feel like it hit all those great notes. You know, talking about aspiration. You know, this is very much he's very Peter Parker-ish. He's got that kind of down on his luck bit. You know, he's got like the star-crossed lover, like he can't be with the girl that he wants to be with, or but then he also gets like these superpowers and he's like having a blast having these superpowers. So I found it to be very Peter Parker-ish. And then of course there's the whole underlying plot of this scientist that wants to give the superpowers to like these 7 people on the planet. that like show themselves to have like the right kind of character to be trusted with the powers. We do get also some explanation as to how they get their powers and like at their secret headquarters in the Arctic. I love this whole issue though. This was
So
probably one of my favorite Mark Miller books
I want to
this
say,
year so far. Yeah.
I want to say about this character. I think this has become the main focal character
I
of the
don't
book,
think so.
of the series for me
I think
because
each one is
him.
going to be focused on a different character.
Yeah, yes, but seeing as far as at the end of the book, this is going to end up becoming like the lead character. Especially we see what
Maybe.
happened to him, what they're trying to do to him at the end. Like
Yes.
you're told, you are the most popular person in, but you have to keep your identity secret.
Right.
And then at the end, they already know who he is. So people already know. Her ex husband's
The
team,
ex-husband, yeah.
basically says like we know you're you're the hero.
See,
So I think
I don't
they're trying to bar like
I get that, but I don't think that'll make him the lead. I think the lead character is very much going to be the South Korean scientist that's like in charge of the whole thing.
she's the Charles Xavier at this point.
She is, yeah, she kind of is actually. She kind of is like the Professor X type of character, but I don't know if this guy will be the lead or not. I wouldn't mind if he was. I like I said, I love the character. The hardships, the joys that he has. Like when they first show him like using his powers, he does like this orbit dive from a satellite,
He can
and
power.
he's just
He controls gravity. He can control the
yeah,
gravity.
that's his main one. But I'm talking about like not before that, or it might have been after that, when he's like just like doing that high jump from that satellite, and he's like, I feel like I'm in a superhero movie or a video game. Like he's just like that rush. Like if you see any of the Spider-Man movies, it's like that moment where Peter Parker first finds out how to web
And
swing, and like
that's
the
like
fun and adrenaline that's in that. That's what I got from that scene.
he's the reader's focal point.
Yes. Yes.
He's what we identify with. You
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
And I gotta say I like his optimism. I like that he's basically like a pure character.
Hmm.
It's almost like a Disney plot. At the end of Miss Marvel, it's like, oh, we're gonna try and
Maybe.
blackmail you. We know you who you are. Give up. And
I
you're like,
think I think it's just that he's so relatable because like he starts out he's like this normal guy. He's got a kind of like this those like high school jobs you have where you work at a convenience store or something.
he's
He's got that kind of job. He's in love, he's infatuated with a girl that's out of his league, and he has a chance to step in and like save her life, and I think that just makes him really relatable to a lot of
uh
readers.
yeah, he stands up, does what Captain America would do. He stands up,
Yeah.
protects the terrorists, ends up being shot, only to wake up. This is where I get like the dead zone. Like he wakes up and he's like, the girl he loved is now married to his best friend, and like and they have a child, and he's like, you son of a. It's like,
Well, that was the big plot twist because I was
yeah,
like, okay. Up until then, I was like, okay, so yeah, he gets shot, they save him, blah blah. But then they're like, oh no, you don't understand. You were in a coma for like 7 years, and so when I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh shoot, like
Yeah, that
that
sounds TV
was
show series. Yeah,
yeah.
the thing. He was like, he wakes up and his fiance is married to another man, and she has a
Sorry, by the
child.
way, I know we're like spoiling the issue, Ash. I don't know if that was
Well,
the intention.
we pretty much are showing the whole day issue, so you're be there completely spoiled regardless. Um,
Yeah,
but I gotta say though, it is a good world building as far as comic
yeah. Hmm.
book. I love that they're introducing it because up at this point, I was like, I don't care about the main girl, the one who's getting the powers out. Don't really give a shit about her.
Hmm.
Um, she just seems too wooden or unemotional, kind of like Brie Larson in Captain Marvel. Um, I like the fact that we got this plot twist at the end. He's like, he's trying to live his life, trying to get back to his normal job, and then they come in. It's like, yeah, we know who you are. How would you like to work for us? We'll give you $100 million, and I'm thinking. Now we don't know if he's being paid by the other girl. Like, imagine he turns around. He's like, right. At first, I don't know who you are, and second of all, it's like I don't have a price limit. It's like I wonder what's going to happen. Is he like this is the pivotal moment here. we've led to this, but he's a just guy. But
Mhm.
remember, we are to be tempted by greed. Will he betray, or will he say, "I have no idea what you're talking about," and something happens? You know,
Yeah, no, it definitely does. Like, it leaves you kind of guessing, like, what's gonna. And see, the thing is, with the next issue, we don't know if it's gonna pick up right on this or
no,
if it's gonna go. It looks
yeah,
like the next issue is gonna focus on like whoever they
exactly.
get from France.
And
So
this is
I'm very curious to see how
so
Miller ties this all together.
now. This is what I didn't like about what was it that year one, volume two they did with the zombie apocalypse, and they had 5 different characters. Like, it got to the point where I only liked one character out of the whole entire like overall story. I hope this isn't the case. I hope that the other characters are just as equally as exciting as this character. And the other thing we
Mhm.
need to talk about is who he's not the other hero. There is Mexico has their own hero too. We can
Right.
hear
Yeah. We do get
Chico
a glimpse
Blanco.
of the guy from Mexico. Yeah, we
Yeah.
do get a glimpse of him.
So
So yeah, I like that. But in this, we did have like these little seeds almost of other stories kind of get planted. But yeah, I think this is a better issue.
now
I don't know about better, but I certainly enjoyed this issue a lot more than I did the first one.
this is what I'm interested about this because we're setting up heroes,
Hmm.
and everybody knows with any comic book you have to have villains. Are
I
the
think that's
villains
what
going to
the
be?
ex-
Are they going?
Isn't that
Is
what the
this?
ex-husband is supposed to
Is
be?
he?
Like,
We don't know. Maybe he won't create his own villain team as far as super villains with
mm,
superpowers. Uh, who knows? Like you said, this could very easily become invincible. You know,
eh,
as far as the teams, the corrupt governments, and all stuff. Uh, we don't know how many of them, if because like we're led to believe that this guy is basically like your Peter Parker, kind of like your underdog, kind of like this guy who's down on his
yeah,
luck, and just wants to help do good. We don't know who the other teammates are. We've seen them on the covers, but we don't know if they're gonna end up betraying. But also the other thing is that we forget the very first issue we're introduced back in like the 80s or 90s. They show you that Ape Kid and some other heroes.
that's
Or
true.
yeah,
That is true.
so this is like it's almost in a sense kind of like an Umbrella Academy.
I was actually thinking it might be, it could maybe be similar to like The Boys, where like they get like, okay, these are the seven, these are your best of the best
Yeah.
heroes. Maybe they won't be as evil and twisted as the seven. Maybe I don't know. I would assume that Mark Miller wouldn't
No,
want to just copy
no,
what
no.
Garth Ennis did, but
Would be
I
great
don't
if
know.
this. So if he world builds, is Nemesis going to be part of this?
Well, so Mark Millar does have that big, humongous crossover called The Big Show or The Big Time
Yeah.
that comes out later this summer. I'm very curious to see if these ambassador characters show up in that, because that's supposed to have characters from all the books Miller's done. So, Nemesis, Kick Ass, Kingsman,
Oh, I didn't.
Nightclub. Yeah.
I didn't even notice the Honeycrisp sign up there on the upper right corner, above the little ambulance taxi on the building. It says Honeycrisp.
Hmm.
uh,
Was
snuck that
money,
in there.
money something,
You
not
sure?
Honeycrisp. Yeah,
Oh,
it's an
it
M.
looks like Honeycrisp when this angle. I can't see that because I have the Discord not blown up, so I don't see the full page.
Womp womp. What did you think, Ash? We're over here gushing about it so much. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm glad
This
you
is your
asked,
channel. We
Zach.
should get your
I'm
thoughts.
glad you
On to the
asked.
next comic.
On to the next book. Um, this was a big step down for me. Um,
What? Okay,
yeah.
I'm gonna let you explain.
I now look, I still liked it.
One of us. One of us.
I still liked it. But the last book was so good,
Mm,
and this just felt more like I don't know, like it felt like on the last book I was comparing it to say like books like Nightclub, where I was like Nightclub just feels like really kind of basic and just more simple, and it's writing to a younger audience and it's keeping the plot very basic and accessible, whereas Ambassadors felt more like Jupiter's Legacy, where there was this a lot of like subtext and like a lot of um, just symbolism and just commentary about things, just like a more complex writing. That first issue felt like it had all that. This issue felt just super basic. This character, Bidu, whatever his name is, I just he's he's just too convenient. It's like, oh look, he's a kid that works at the mall and he's in love with the Mary Jane essentially. The girl's got no, she's super gorgeous, has no, doesn't know he exists, sort of thing. And then he's got Ned Leeds is his best friend, the guy in the chair. Like, and it's just like, oh look, and of course, what happens? Oh, terrorists come, and so he sacrifice. Like, does he do something heroic and like save her life? Sorta. He just offers himself to be the victim instead of her. So they like, for some reason, the terrorists. Well, the terrorists don't actually let her go. They end up
Mocks
just
him.
shooting
Yeah.
him and then going ahead with their plans. But it allows the SWAT team or whatever guys to come in and get him, and so she ends up.
Yeah.
So she ends up being saved, sorta, because he offered to be a sacrificial lamb. But to me, it just kind of came across a little. Look, that's a big deal in real life. If someone does something like that, I'm not going to make light of that. Like, that's a really big deal. But in the world of comic books, it seemed, I don't know. It just like, and he did it only because he's in love with her, type of thing. It wasn't the most selfless act. If she had been some complete stranger, like, it would have
No.
worked better for me if the girl that he offered to do that for was some complete stranger, and then that girl was like on the sides, like witnessing it all happen, and so that he
So that's
sacrificed himself for just like some little old lady or something, and she's watching him
Ash.
do that. But to me, it
The
feels
fact
like
that
he
you
had
brought that up,
motive.
the fact that you brought that up, about him, it wasn't a selfish act because he's in love with the girl. Maybe he accepts the deal at the end of this issue.
Oh, true, true. Yeah, you bring up a good point. There was
Yeah.
another scene here that I just rolled my eyes.
Especially
Like,
they
it felt like it was Mark being a little sloppy in the storytelling. So,
they could threaten his family too.
so we get this part where like he's getting his powers or whatever, and this writing was all like really accelerated because it's like, okay, we gotta get to the point. Like, boom, boom, here's your powers, blah, blah. Go ahead and test them out. So he's supposed to go test them out, and he's supposed to levitate these barbells, but instead he levitates all the people, and he's like, oh, sorry, and he turns off the gravity powers, but then he like flips them the other way and makes them super heavy. And we turn to this next page, so heavy that they collapse into the underground parking garage. Those people are most likely dead, if not seriously maimed. But what's the next
Well,
panel? It's like, look at the next panel too. Oh, look, see what I say? He's a complete natural. Like, you just totally ignored all these people that just got maimed and injured. And I was like, wait, what? Are, what just happened? I thought we were trying to find like superheroes. That's the excuse me. He
well,
just
let's,
like totally
let's
messes
keep in
up, and
mind.
no one bats an eyelash.
So here's the
Well,
other
let's
question.
keep in mind too that these people have, like, this person has scientific technology that kept him alive after he was shot in the head. So there's a little bit of leeway, I think.
How do we
Maybe
know
it
they're
would have.
actually real? How do we know they're real people and not just androids?
I don't know.
Well, there's that too,
The
maybe.
book doesn't give us any reason to think that they're not real people. Look at this. Look at this page here. It looks like oh this guy's like, oh shit, like, and then he gets slammed into the
You're a robot. You
ground.
have to be saying, "Oh shit," too.
First of all, if you fall from that height just into the ground, like, those people like land on their head. It would have taken, look, what Zach said is plausible. It would have taken one panel to say, like, for her to be like, oh, don't worry, well, none of those people, we got top medical, we'll fix them right up, like, or something. Just, but it's like,
We'll
it's
just
just the
clone
way
them.
that the writing just like totally ignored it. Then there's a part where
Yeah.
they go up into space here, and they're like, okay, we need you now to use your powers to like put our satellite in orbit. Now, this is me being a little bit overly critical because I get the average person's not going to have this level of knowledge, but putting a satellite in orbit is not simply getting it into space and then it's just in orbit. You have to perfectly calculate the velocity of where it goes, because satellites, they don't float in orbit. Orbit is literally like you're falling to Earth, but you're falling in a way that you just rotate around the planet. So it has to be very precise. You can't just like lob it up in there and be fine. So the fact that he could just levitate the satellite, but that's a little bit sciency, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. Your normal audience isn't going to think about those things, so I'll let that slide. But
You
then
should
you get to the
mention him
part
and ask him.
then you get to the part where they're in space. So he's in space. This is a really cool shot, by the way. I love this shot. And he's like, oh shit. And they're floating like satellites in orbit. Ta-da, great, you did it. Awesome. And she's like, now I want you to jump down to the ocean. And he's like, what? All a cool scene until you get to this part. It's like, wait, this doesn't work. You're in orbit. If you jump from the satellite, you're going to go up. You don't, there's gravity's not pulling you down. Like, the whole reason why the satellite is not falling down is the same reason you wouldn't fall down. This is like basic 7th grade science. And I was like, and it's tough for me because I expect better from Mark Miller. And I'm like, when you pull me out of the story like this because of just sloppy things like this, someone should have caught this. Again, like one panel could have fixed this somehow. Like,
Well, for me,
but
I just overlooked that and just enjoyed the book.
sure, and a lot of people might. I unfortunately, like I said, I expect better from Alara, and it yanked me out of the story. Did it ruin the book for me? No, it did not. Is it going to make me tell you this book is stupid and don't buy it? No, not at all. This is not a bad book. I
Well,
am
why?
holding this book to higher standards because the previous issue was so good, and I
I'm
expect it
just
to
irritated
maintain
that
that
he didn't.
level.
So I'm irritated he didn't tear his underwear off and put it over his face.
There are cool scenes. Like I said, I love this shot of the satellite. I love this idea. I want you to jump down. There's cool bits. So I'm not just harping on it. I will also give credit where credit's due. I love this whole. This is probably my favorite page of the whole book. I love the panel layouts of how he comes in the ocean and then he just sees the whales and
Yeah, that's cool.
previous to that he's like, I'm just an asshole from the phone store, and he's like flying down, and then the final thing
So
is not
Eric says
anymore.
this. So Eric says this is Tumblr art.
What?
No.
This is Carl Keschel. Get out of here, Eric.
It's not Tumblr art, but I can understand what he's trying to say. Is it does look very much like more like Saturday morning cartoon, like
Which is really good for me. I like it.
I dug it. I really like Carl Keschel's art style.
If you want,
Um,
I mean, like
yeah.
you
I
could
would dig
say
this
that.
if it were animated. Like
Yeah,
if these were like stills from the anime or animation, I would be like,
hmm
oh, this is good. But as a
Yeah, give it like an
comic book,
Invincible style show.
yeah. This is like
I want a little better. This is a little
Eh,
to me, it's
afternoon
alright.
I
cartoons to me.
I
That's
want.
my
I like
taste.
it a lot more than Frank Quietly.
You're
I would compare it to Ryan Otley's and say it's just as good.
That's my hot take coming through.
that is
I do
hot
not.
takes
I
with
do
Zach.
not. I do not care for Frank Quietly's
You
art.
are
I can't
crazy.
explain it. I can't explain it. I just don't care for it.
Crazy. Okay, anyways. And I
Crazy
also
about.
agree with RDV here. The book does end really strong. This twist.
hmm
It's not really a twist, it's more of a really good
Surprise!
cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Um but before that there is a twist actually. And
Dish out.
the twist is because he's like, "Oh, great. Like can I tell my parents all this stuff?" And you even as a reader didn't know this was coming. She's like, there's something we need to talk about. You went to the hospital, we fixed you. You were in a coma for 7 years.
Yeah.
And so you get to this point in this book as a reader and you're like, "Oh shit, it's been 7 years since the first page of this comic." Like you didn't realize that. And so now when he goes back and he sees his parents, the girl that he was in love with or whatever, she's married to his best
hmm
friend. They have a kid. And
Yep.
he goes back the mall
His job.
store that he worked at, like, oh, you can have your job back, which of course they're just self-serving because he's like a little mini celebrity. But he can't
Right.
tell anyone
Right.
who he is as part of the deal, and he has to like, promise he won't reveal. So he goes back to the mall store and he gets his dream, of course, 7 years ago was like to become the assistant manager. Of course, now it's all different. And so when you're a kid who's like all you foresee is becoming assistant manager. That's a big deal. Getting $100 million, that's a massive temptation. So I agree with Vankman. Like, what's it gonna do? My
Yeah.
guess is, just from a reading standpoint, is he's gonna be the good guy and turns it down. But you never know.
I think what's going to happen, he's going to be caught in the middle of this, and who knows? Because right now, if he turns out the money, they're going to go after. They know who he is. They're going to go after his family,
Mm-hmm.
from his family. So they're gonna try
Maybe.
to make him into a mole.
Well, they already know who he
Ah.
is.
Yeah, as I
Yeah.
said. So I said if he the first is the first step, a trope as far as villains. First we try to buy you out, but then we go after the ones you love, and then we force your hand.
Maybe.
Unless this is just a test, and these people really just work for what's her name, and it's just a
Or
test
Maybe
to
that
see if
too.
he'll.
or that Korean girl sends an army and just kills all of them.
I don't think she
Yeah,
has an
there's. I
army.
mean, it's really open ended. There's a
Remember
lot
that
of ways
guy?
it could go.
Well, remember that guy at the beginning, and the other issue, or not the beginning, but towards the end of the issue, the guy who killed everybody in the bar.
Oh yeah, melted all the heads.
And
Yeah,
you
that
see him
wasn't
coming in,
from
and
her
just
though.
we don't know who he works for. He could presumably work for the guy we saw who in the other issue beginning who came to get the monkey superhero or whatever. Like, we don't know if he works for that guy or this person who might be a rogue assassin. All we know is that he's got powers.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know where the other people got their powers from too. Did she steal the powers from somebody?
Yeah, there are some questions, definitely. And I think
Yes.
this is a good book. It
Is
wasn't
this the
my
second?
top
Oh yeah.
wasn't my top book. This was a bit of a step down. That first issue, like I said, was
Oh,
so good. I'm not
so
as excited about Carl Kessler's art as Zach is.
the other
I am
question is,
liking it more as I'm flipping through it and I'm used to it. It was a
yeah,
huge, like, whoa, like, as I predicted the last we talked about issue 1, I was like, what's the shock value going to be like when it's so different. I wasn't expecting like this radical difference in style. So,
as far as we know,
um,
this is her first time putting a team together. Maybe she led the team the first time, or she stole their technology. We don't know. There's so many unanswered questions about that team that they had before. You know, like I said, this
so
kind of feels like Invincible in a
next
sense.
issue has one of the other best artists in the history of comics. So I mean, Zach's probably not going to like it as much, but
But is he
Who
still
is it? Who is it?
Travis
from Trent?
Charest.
Yeah, but is he
I'm
still the
actually not familiar with his work.
Well, he hasn't
Wow.
done comics in a while, so
Oh, okay. Okay.
um,
Well, that might be why then.
he's one of those type of artists that is just like so good. He like when he came on the scene, he quickly transcended comics. It was like,
Okay.
um,
like Jim
it,
Lee?
no,
Jim
Jim
Lee
Lee
never
never
left
transcended
comics.
comics, but he is the guy that his art was so good on Wildcats that I was like, holy crap, this guy is better than Jim Lee. Like I was like, on his own book. That's pretty crazy. That's kind of like when Greg Capullo came on Spawn, and you're like, oh, I kind of don't miss Todd McFarlane anymore. But even
Yeah,
more so.
I just wish that Greg Poole was writing instead of Mark McFarlane.
Well, I don't know if Greg Capullo can write, but
Yeah, we
I'm
don't know.
interested. Hopefully, Travis Tress art quality hasn't degraded over the past 20 years. Um, so we'll see. Um, any final
Very
words
cool.
on Ambassadors?
This is one of my favorite Mark Millar books currently. Even beats out another book that I'm sure we're going to be talking about here in a few minutes.
Mm,
So
more hot takes.
I've been liking this. There's Nightclub, and if I had to pick a third one, I actually don't know what I would pick for a third for a Mark Millar book. But yeah, definitely this and Nightclub or Jupiter's Legacy. You know what? In spite of Frank Quietly's art, I do like the story of Jupiter's Legacy a lot.
Jupiter's
So
Legacy is
that would
so good.
probably, yeah, I
Her
do
legacy
like
was
the story.
yeah.
That's one of those cases where the writing gets me past the artwork.
Oh my
So.
And
goodness! Quit.
speaking of as far as
I'm only half
Jupiter Legacy,
trolling.
so Jupiter's Legacy was featured in another book we're going to talk about. It's up on the billboards.
Yeah, let's so Marani says Ambassador's art gives me vibes of a potential animated series, which is
Be
on
nice.
the lines of what I said.
Well, it's paving the way. I could see this going to either Netflix.
Well, yeah, that's where he has his deal, the Millerverse.
It's either do it, but my problem is don't do live action. Do animated. I prefer
I wouldn't
animated.
mind. I wouldn't mind seeing it live action, but I think animated might be more
You've
economically
seen my
smart.
problem is I'm sick of the live action stuff adaptations. Just let's do more animated. Invincible proved that they can get away with more stuff doing that, and to me, if Invincible would have done as live action, it would have sucked.
Maybe.
I
Jupiter's Legacy looked really good live action.
The Jupiter's
The
Legacy looked
action
really good. The
scenes.
problem with Jupiter's Legacy wasn't that it was live action. It's just they totally
Storytelling.
foobarred the script.
Yeah, the execution wasn't that great.
Yeah, that's putting it lightly.
Yeah.
But I thought it looked good.
Oh yeah.
And obviously the
Looks
boys
fantastic.
is freaking fantastic as live
Boys.
action. I'm
That's
so
true.
glad they have a sub kind of like tie-in show that you that's like a bunch of shorts for the boys. I forget
Is
what
it-
it's called.
Yeah.
But they have
It's that animated one, isn't it?
it's
Isn't
animated,
it like
and I do
yeah.
not like it at all. Like I'm just like, nope.
Yeah, every time I see the commercial for it, I think it looks weird.
Yeah. Number one is it's morally apprehensible.
Get the artist from Invincible and have him adapt it.
No,
The what we're doing the TV show, it's the cartoon.
I just don't like. To me, comics already are cartoons. Like, I
That's
don't need
true.
them to be. My brain can animate. If you're a good sequential artist, my brain already animates all the in between shots. That's what really makes great sequential art is when it flows in your mind and you lose it that you're like reading the as a like still frames. I can already kind of imagine it. I don't need to see like a cartoon to me is just worse art. I'm like, why do I always hated that actually when I would have comic books and like back in the 90s, for example, they had the X-Men cartoon. I was like, why would I watch this? The stories are worse and the art's worse. Like,
no, I disagree.
Same like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I was like, no, I can get better art in the comics and better stories. Like,
I
so
disagree.
if you're gonna do live action and you have the quality, like back in those days, you couldn't do live action, but nowadays the technology that make live action look good.
I think Invincible proves that you can do stuff as far as adapt it from the comic book and keep it looking awesome.
Well,
Now
the
you could
art
argue
on
that
Invincible was really bad.
In the very beginning, but once you get in, once you get past that first artist leaves, you get Ryan Otley in there, then it improves a lot.
It gets better, but the story that they adapted, like the art was pretty much the same as it was on the page. And early Ryan Otley art wasn't amazing. Like he's gotten better in the 20 years since he did Invincible.
Right.
But back then I used to think he was like so overrated because his art that was how I imagined his art. Now I see what he's doing today and I go, "Oh, okay, he's improved a lot," which of course what you'd expect. So Breen calls it Tumblr art. Killing me, Breen.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't know.
God, I thought I had the hot takes here.
I'd say the art on here is the same quality as Invincible.
Oh yeah,
you could definitely put this into an animated form and have it flow nicely.
No, that looks like it. What Marani said looks like storyboards for animation. Like I totally agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have comic book art that more fidelity. Since you're drawing still frames, I don't want it to look like an animation frame. What's our final book here? The book that Zach doesn't like.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I just said that I liked Ambassadors more.
Well, you were struggling to name 3 books, and you said Nightclub and Ambassadors, and you were like, this book was right there staring you in the face.
I said those are my 3 favorite Mark Miller books. I mean, Nemesis is good,
You
but
should read
it's just not.
Reborn.
Which one's Reborn? I don't think I've heard of that one.
I read it on my channel once upon a time, but I think that was before you
I
may have come
might have
around.
missed that one.
But it's
Yeah.
a Greg Capullo art,
Ooh, okay.
and
Sold.
it's Mark Miller writing, and it's got a female protagonist, and
Okay.
it's an interesting story. I can't say too much, but I think it would be up your alley though. It's got a good feel good type
Okay.
of story.
Zach, when did you get an alley?
Wait, what?
When did you get your own alley? I want one too.
Get my own alley. Oh.
You gotta talk to Evil Black Cat.
Yeah, sure.
So Nemesis. This is issue number 4. What do you guys think about this book?
Dude, yeah, this is there, I don't know. Maybe this is just me. There are certain villains, like in movies and even comic books and stuff, that like I just love to hate, or just I not hate. I'm just so interested in like what makes like Negan from The Walking Dead is like he's not a good guy, but I'm just so interested in like the worst things he does. I hate them, but he's just such an interesting character. This guy Nemesis, I'm putting up there with him. Like the dude is lower than scum, like in his methods, like the way he kills people and like gloats about it, even like as he's in the act of doing it. Like dude is messed up severely, but it's like I can't get enough. Like I'm really interested in it. The art is also, I really do like the art style here. uh it almost reminds me of Capullo in some ways, actually. um but yeah, no, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It's just, the reason it kind of falls behind Nightclub and Ambassadors, especially like issue number 2, is, like I was saying, those have like more heroic stories in them, like their kids becoming heroes. Actually, both Ambassadors and Nightclub are kids becoming heroes. I kind of like that story, that theme a little bit more. This one's just like this douche guy who has like Batman level skills, but he uses them to murder and torture people. So he's obviously not quite as good on a moral scale.
It's a
But
lot. Yeah, I'd say it's a
yeah, go
lot
ahead.
compared to the first book. This character seems like he might have a legitimate reason to basically target this group. And the other one, in the original series, he was just looking for a thrill. He was going from city to city, finding the top detective, or the best cop over there, and challenging him, and then killing him.
Right, it
So
was like an adrenaline
So he,
thing
fin-
for
so he
him.
finally
Yeah.
meets, so he finally meets like James Gordon, who's like, holy shit, this guy can actually fight back.
Right.
This one, it just seems like he wants revenge, or we're even given this backstory. But the real mystery is, to me, is they say there's Jupiter Lakes here, there, see Times Square or LA, Los Angeles, whatever. Um, what's this crap about the whole thing with the missing president? That supposedly all America has forgotten, as those before Reagan or after, or in between, before Reagan and after Carter, went for 1 year. Um, and he's been targeting this guy's crew because his parents were killed. Now, as far as we know, we don't even know if his parents even did the jobs or did the crime that they went and arrested him for. Well, we know is that his mom got lethal injection, and his dad, I think was either, I can't remember what happened to his dad. But he wants revenge. Now, is there a chance that this mayor, and the rest of his crew like them, just pinned all the crimes on his parents, and because they wanted to look, end it all? They had no leads, so they basically framed him up. Were they corrupt cops? And yeah, he's basically targeting him, and he's the last one. Like, I don't want to root for the bad guy in this, but it means like I need to know more. Like, and
Dude,
because like I said,
if you can root for the bad guy after this issue, like this
yeah,
issue,
it's
every
like I don't
issue,
want to.
Mark makes Nemesis more deplorable. This issue, I was like, almost like, am I gonna keep reading this book? Like, I was like, let's see, I was about halfway. I think it was up to this point where he shoots the cop, and I was like, okay, I'm down for the whole he's a villain, he's a bastard, you're supposed to hate him, all this stuff, but this was bad.
I'm not,
We
I'm
open
not
up
saying
the book with
he's
this.
bullseye.
Yeah,
With
I mean, but we open up the book here with an ex cop that was part of the team that was involved in taking down his parents or whatever, and
Yeah.
she's
God.
crippled and so
Hmm.
forth, and the city's on fire, and he shows up, and she's was kind of like waiting for him. She kind of not surprised, and you can see like she's drinking a bottle of alcohol, and you know,
vodka, yeah.
um, she knows who he is and everything, and he says, "You seem very relaxed for a woman who's about to die. The chair gives you a different perspective on the world, and nothing happening these days surprises me very much." Um,
Hmm.
and then she starts talking about America. We had a great 100 years, the country of ours, but I don't think anyone can save America now. All empires crumble in the end, but it's never how we think. The greatest powers just get eaten from the inside while the money shifts to somewhere else. And he agrees. He says Rome, Spain, Portugal, England, it's just America's turn to fall, which I did find interesting because it's to RDV's point. I feel like there's a bigger picture going on.
Yeah.
Um, but the way he
He's still,
lets her die, because she says, "Can I
yeah.
ask you a favor? Could you at least make it quick?" And he's
Hmm.
like, "Well, to be honest, Maggie, we already poisoned your alcohol,
He
and pretty soon
paralyzed
you're
you,
not going to be
basically. Yeah.
able to move. You're going to be paralyzed, and
Yep.
we're going to burn you alive, and you're not going to be able to
God.
scream. Imagine how that's going to feel." Like he just is like
And
so diabolical to the point. Like his
so,
henchmen, they're like, "I'm not sure I can
it,
do this,
Yeah, even
boss."
the henchmen.
so the
Yeah,
henchmen.
even the henchmen are like, I don't think we can.
So,
And these are like, because he's had henchmen in the previous issues. They're all like,
but
Yep.
oh yeah, f the police. We're gonna,
so
killing cops and everything.
you
Now
guys,
they're like, oh, this is too
you,
far.
you guys are missing the point. This is the couple from the first issue. That he went to the house.
Hmm.
He's using them. Like when I clicked on him, I was like, oh my shit! Like, these are actually not just random henchmen. These are the couple, the married couple in Wisconsin that he abducted, put collars around their necks, pretty much. Scores them.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Right.
So
No.
he's
So, but
using them, yeah, to do their work.
yes.
It's like, yeah, but this guy, I'm not saying like he is sadistic. He's like bullseye, but at this point, like Millar, instead of making you hate this guy, you're also being painted the picture. Maybe the cops aren't as clean as they are. Do they deserve to die? No.
Okay, but no,
But
but see, you're interrupting my point here. So he does this whole thing. So he's not just going to kill her. He's going to burn her alive, and he's going to say like, not are you just going to burn her alive. I'm going to paralyze you, so you won't even be able to scream. You won't be able to do anything. And then the henchmen are like, I'm not sure I can do this. And he's like, oh well, if I were you, I would find the strength to do that because he's got a bomb around their necks. And then the guy's like, why are you doing this? Why the hell are you torturing two innocent people? So it points out that it's like more than because if he were just killing the cops, I would understand your point. But he's just murdering anyone that gets in his way. Not only is he murdering people that get in his way, he's using them to do diabolical acts. Remember the girl that he used to crash the plane and how he
yep.
like manipulated her and like put her into porn and all this stuff to blackmail her so that she would be like the perfect. This guy is effed up. Like
Yeah, I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm not saying. I'm just saying Marx making you pretty much hate everyone.
I don't hate everyone. I don't hate the cop. I don't hate that old couple.
We
I
don't
don't
know,
hate.
but he's leading up to what the cop did something. No, we don't know as far as he's a deranged individual, and we're being painted from his viewpoint, his flashbacks, his story. Maybe the cops were corrupt. Maybe his parents were unjustly murdered for
I don't
crimes
know.
they didn't do.
Even if the
It-
cops are
yes,
corrupt, like I don't think
I,
I'm still gonna pick them over this guy with his crazy serial
I'm
killer.
just saying he's painting pretty much everyone in this story to be unlikable.
No, he's not.
Eh,
I don't
I
think
don't
so at
think
all.
so.
I think he's
I don't
paying the.
think the cops are unlikable.
If anything, I think he's paying the mayor is almost like too admirable. Like he's made this mayor seem to be like
A
perfect.
white
Like
knight.
yeah, like
Yeah.
he's got no imperfect. He's just a super good guy.
You
But here
said
you get
we
to
don't know.
see the woman burn, which is just like I was just like,
Yeah,
oh
that's
man.
nightmare fuel.
And so here
We don't.
he calls the mayor to let him know like, hey, you better get here right if you want to rescue your girl, which of course he doesn't give him any time to. It's just a ruse. But he does. He's like on there and he's like, come on, we need to get out. He's like, we don't have time. He's running. Then the explosion, he gets caught in the explosion. This is a guy who was putting his life on the line to save people that he loves. Of course, Nemesis catches him because he's a badass. Shoots all the other cops, which are not part of the crew. So again, more evidence that it's not just about his crew. Shoots the guy in the leg only because he says, "You don't die until Friday." So it's like,
Yeah, right. Yeah, because that's the
um,
mayor. That's
Like
the
I
cop
said,
mayor right there.
I get a feeling we're going to learn more about the cop. It might be, and I said it might be the thing where you right now you're led to believe, oh, the cops, he's a good guy, mayor.
well,
They said
yeah,
there
but the
might be
problem
some
is you
twists
don't
at
have
the end.
any evidence to that. So
Well, I'm just saying,
I'm not saying you're wrong, but you have no reason to base that off of. Right now, we can
I'm just
only go with
saying,
what the story's presented us.
Mark likes to subvert your expectations. At least what I've seen with Nemesis.
Fair enough,
So
but those
yeah,
expectations haven't been subverted, and we can only go with what the story has given us. So we can't say, "Oh, the
right.
cop's unlikable too," based on information that hasn't come to light yet. Like, we don't know. Like, all we're getting is this picture that this cop is like super dude, and Nemesis is whacked. Oh, by the way, not only all the stuff that Nemesis has done, oh, he's also got a nuclear weapon underneath L.A.
Yeah.
and he's
But
locked down the
is
city
it
and basically said he's got these drones flying above the city. I don't know where they are. And he's like, if anyone is caught outside, I'd set the nuke off. So stay indoors or the entire city gets nuked. Then he makes the cop show up. He was like, I want to meet at this time. You get on the train, get alone. And his wife, the mayor's wife, is like, shows up. She's like, give us a minute. And she's like, Daddy, what are you doing here? You know it's not safe. And I thought this was really good. So not only is the cop really good guy, but he's got like the super wife. Like she is the most supportive, like awesome, perfect wife you could imagine. Like, and of course she's a bombshell too because it's comics. Um, and I mean, look at him, dude. And they talk about she's like, I got to do this, and of course she's crying. There's a really cool scene later where she's crying and people are like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yes, I'm fine. I'm just so proud." Because here he is, he's going and he's dressed up. And I remember he was just shot. The fellow cops are looking at me like, "Look at this guy, shot in the leg and still refuses crutches. They don't make him like that anymore. Man, he's heading off to die. Imagine what that feels like." It's just like they are painting a picture of this guy as like the stalwart hero, which is fine. It's comic books. Yeah, here's the part where she's like crying. Yeah, I'm just proud. She's proud of her husband. More realistically, if this were like real, she'd be like selfish and be like, "Don't you do it?" Like let him. But very very black and white moral. I guess like it's very binary in this book, which I appreciate. I'm not dragging on. All I'm trying to say is that Nemesis is a bastard, and I think it's intentional. Mark Millar is constantly saying that. Um, and we
so?
do get this
But
really cool final 2 pages where it's a flashback. Excuse me. Flashback to his it's like his origin. It's each part is a later stage, and he's supposed to his final test is to break into this castle, kill the owner, and steal what was in her vault. And we get this voiceover part where he puts the pieces together and he knows who the missing president is, or the world's biggest secret, and it's to be concluded. So it's a super awesome cliffhanger.
all I'm saying is don't expect everything to be what you're seeing here. Like that could it definitely could be a nuclear bomb, or it could not be a nuclear bomb at all.
Sure.
Could be. Given everything he's done throughout the story, though, I'm not thinking it isn't a bomb. Like it's not like, gonna be like a Joker thing where it's like a gun that just shoots out a little flag that says "bang." I don't think that'll be the case here, given what we've seen him do already.
The thing is the way Mark's been writing this story is Nemesis has given you every reason to take him at his word. Every time he's said something or he's proven that he's capable of delivering and he's got the
Which would be
willpower
the
to
best.
do it.
Which would be the
Right.
best makeout.
So
Maybe, or
sure,
maybe he knows that you would think that, and so he's not going to fake you out.
Maybe he knows and you don't know. You know.
Maybe,
sure you could
maybe,
write
maybe it's like
you could write a resolution to the story where, oh, it's not a really a bomb. He was just bluffing. The thing is that when you just pull the rug out from the reader, that's not good writing. And I think
yeah, yeah,
Mark's a good writer. So you have to foreshadow your twists. And that's why a good twist ending, good revelations, good reveals and stories, they're always the best when that information was there, you just didn't see it. It's like in front of your
right,
face, and you go back and you read it again and go, oh, yeah, the clues are right there, but I just didn't see it. If you just like, ta-da, like, that the famous, like, the Deus Ex Machina that everyone hates, like, it was all a dream. The end. You're like, oh, anyone could just, that's not a twist. That's just a writer noping out. Um,
right.
so I like this book better than Ambassadors this week. This was my favorite issue of Nemesis so far.
It's my favorite issue in that it makes me not like the character more.
I don't like the character more, but it feels like there's more story. And I guess what my
Yeah,
point was I was trying to make at the beginning is halfway through the book I was like, "Oh man, I'm just sick of this guy." Like it's one thing to have fun not liking the bad guy, but at some point that just gets tedious. Like there needs to go somewhere else. I don't want to just read about an evil dude killing people.
There
And
has to be a reason why he's targeting these people. You know, if they were corrupt and he's going after them, sure. Or if he's just doing this to have fun, or are they related to his final tests as far as the missing president? Why would you bring that up unless it's a red herring? You know, like I said, the next issue I think is the last issue, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot more information dropped that we don't know about.
well, I
maybe.
think the clue is on this page right
See,
here, where we see Nemesis. He's on a skyscraper. He's looking down. It says, "Why are we so obsessed with superheroes? Is it
Oh yeah, the
something?
Jupiter's Legacy picture.
Is it something bright to get us through the dark times, or are these hero capitalists with billion-dollar fortunes our fantasy saviors in America's final days? T-shirts, movies, comic books, toys, even the ones you've barely heard of are on billboards all over town." Which is funny, the Jupiter's
That is kind of
Legacy.
funny.
Yeah, he's kind
Yeah,
of making fun of himself. What secrets are they trying to tell me as I make my way to the final challenge? And how do they connect to the president we don't remember from 1981? So I do see reason. Like I Venkman's making reasonable points. I do think there's some sort of connection, which I'm glad for if that's right, because that'll add some depth to the story and it won't just be some evil bastard killing people and we're just watching violence porn. Like I don't want that. I don't think anyone wants. Well, maybe some people do.
that's literally what the first the series was, and then but he wanted to challenge Thrill, and then he said there was a huge plot twist at the end you didn't even see coming. I read through twice. And I was like, dude, there's no mention of this. That's why it makes me think that this final issue is going to be kind of the same thing. What you think that you're going on is actually not what's really happening.
Oh,
So
for sure. I do believe there's going
yeah,
to be a twist.
yeah.
I just think in order for it to be good, it needs to be not completely out of left field, where you just
yeah.
like no way you could have saw it coming, and like doesn't even make sense. You're just like, oh, you just decided to
Well,
go
until
totally
we know what it
random.
is, until we know what it is, it's hard to say if it's completely random or not. I mean, like I said, Mark could definitely, like you said, we could find out that this cop right here is one of the most dirtiest cops, mayor or what was back in his day, and he's just trying to expose them. He simply could, yeah. If he had, maybe he has footage or whatever of the guy of doing certain things, cheating on
Sure,
his wife or whatever. We don't know. All we
sure.
know
But
is
the
that he's
point is,
obsessed with this guy.
we can't assess this book based on
Yeah,
what we speculate the next book is. We just got to
Right.
take it at where we are now, and how are we
yeah.
enjoying it now.
I'm always speculating because I compared to the first book, book is got some similarities, but it's also different. So I mean, I'm always curious to see what he's going to change, what he's going to keep the same.
So the second half of the book really saved it for me. Um, one of the things I do like about this comic, and just Mark Millar in general, is Mark writes this book like it's a comic book. The villains are over the top. I mean, the idea is like he's got a nuclear bomb under the city.
And his
So
Joker.
like this is so like just old school comic books
Well,
that were
how's it
just
not Joker though?
had absurd plot lines that you're just like, wait,
Yeah,
what? And the
it says
characters
Mayor.
are larger than life. The cop, he's more honest and heroic than any real cop would ever be. Like you couldn't be a good cop and get to mayor of LA. Like the only way you're gonna get to mayor of LA is be like the most corrupt piece of shit possible.
The fact that he painted like Joker, it says Mayor Bob on it.
Yeah, well, he's a
No,
little
no.
bit, he's a little bit loopy. Nemesis. That's part of what I like about him. Um,
There's the cross there.
yep. Oh yeah. Oh, and he's. I don't know. Maybe it's a hospital. They put the cross with the
Yeah,
hospital.
yeah. But to see that he's some kind of super cop makes me wonder: does this guy work for the former president?
Mm, I don't know. There is a scene though. What do they say? Like, oh yeah, here's like, don't count him out yet. I've known Joe Costello since he walked the beat, and he's always had a habit of winning in the end. That seems like a
Makes
little
me wonder.
foreshadowing.
That is FALBs. I just saw that the finger. I didn't read that before. On the train, such a middle
Yeah.
finger. Um, but I mean, like him using the couple, like I'm glad he brought the couple in because all we know is like we killed them. We don't know anything else happened. Now I know that they're just being used just as well. Yeah,
So yeah, I enjoyed this. I guess I'm let down because I was expecting to like ambassadors more, and maybe they'll change. Maybe next week it'll flip back. I don't know. But this is the last issue. Is next.
I'm like honestly, I'm liking all of them equally. They're all pretty much 5 stars.
I like them all, but not equally. What about you guys? Anyone anyone still up at this late hour? Ronnie says, actually, these days, a cop being portrayed as a good guy in the comic books is subverting expectations, given the ACAB attitude and MSM, etc.
Ooh, she's right though.
She is. Um, which is kind of weird, too, because he is writing clearly within, when you get the subway scene here, it does seem to have like a modern references where F the LA police. Um, this very much seems to be in the ACAB era that he's writing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to more. None of the books that we covered tonight, in any way should you confer from me that they were bad. I just tend to be overly critical because, like I said, I'm talking to people who may not have read the books. They don't see the world the same way I do, and so I don't want to assume that everyone's going to appreciate things that I like because clearly they don't. I mean, we all think
For me,
differently.
yeah, for me, the
So
world's constantly on fire. I just see red.
um, so yeah, like I just feel is honest to, and if I say, oh, I'm really critical about this, and then you go and read it and go, I don't know what Ash was talking about, I thought it was fine, then great. Like not trying to make anyone. I don't want to be the other way around either, where I'm just like glowing about the book and gushing and just be like, oh, it's 5 stars, it's the most greatest book ever, and then people go read and go, that's mid. I don't know what Ash was talking about. Um, that's me. Any final thoughts?
Um, like I said, I'm curious to see how is this going to end. Um, hopefully it's on a dud ending. hopefully it actually ends really good. But big game, don't know anything about it. But
I'm excited for it.
I'm
Big
going.
game sounds awesome.
Um, but
Pepe Larraz art, all
yeah,
these different Millerverse characters. Sounds good. Sounds
I'm
like a
gonna
good
get it.
time.
I'm gonna get it. I like that I don't know anything about it. I want to go into it cold.
Yeah, that's the thing is there's there's no synopsis as like what the story is. All we know is that it combines characters from all of the Millerverse stories that he's done. So, which as far as I know, they're not in a shared universe. Like, I don't know, I could be wrong, but it seems like Nightclub, Jupiter's Legacy, it seems like they all take place in different universes. Like they're not all in the same place. So, I'm curious to see how it goes. But Pepe Larraz's art, I mean, the art's gonna be bomb. So, I mean, you're gonna have at least great art.
So one of the other books I read this week, I borrowed a copy from Vankman. The New Torrent. Do you
Okay.
guys read that?
I did not
Yeah.
read the new one. Is it on issue 3 already?
No,
No,
issue 2 from
issue
2 weeks
2.
ago.
Oh, okay, issue 2. Okay, yes, I did read issue 2. Okay.
Because he threw me out first. He's like, Torrent. I'm like, come out. I don't remember. Yeah.
What'd you guys think of that book? I don't have a copy to put up on screen, but
I liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was actually pretty cool. It's another one that's kind of world building.
Yeah, kind of. I like the art for that one a lot. I like the story. The story had a little twist that I heard somebody talking about it. I don't know if it was somebody on Wes's Saturday morning stream or not, but yeah, this whole like revenge story with the mom. Uh, it takes like this surprise twist where she has to be saved by a man. The sheer horror
You
in
might have been listening
today's
to
society.
you might have heard that talking about Brain talk about it on the channel.
Might have been Brain. It might have
Because
been
Brain,
Brain.
Brain brought it up because we're talking about on Best of the Week. Yeah,
Oh, okay. That might have been it then.
yeah,
That might have
because
been.
Brain had brought is like he's like it really went in a different direction. I thought it was good because at first we're led to believe that she's just gonna be a one woman army and just do it and it needs to be done, but then at
Yeah.
the last minute she's saved by a guy,
Yeah.
and that's not normal in comics today. That's frowned upon.
No, not at all. Not at all. Normally you would get like the whole Captain Marvel bit where she's super tough and invincible and can do things herself. But
Or
no,
she
I liked
yeah.
it though. I liked it a lot. The art, I really like the art style. And yeah, I'm kind of curious to see where it goes because it seemed almost like it wrapped itself up in 2 issues. Like, okay, person kills someone in her family, she gets revenge. It almost seems like it should end right there. You could tell it in 2 issues, but now you've got. I mean, it's still going on though for a couple more, so I'm curious to see where it goes from here.
Yes. And she gets it over her head. She goes to attack the guy who basically killed her husband and
Mm-hmm.
stole her kid. Because she first went to the team, the superheroes, they wouldn't back her up or play. She said, "Screw you! I don't need you. I'm gonna do what needs to be done. It's my kid. You would do the same damn thing if you were a parent." So she goes, gets it over her head, gets her ass kicked,
Mm-hmm.
knocked out a window. I'm thinking like Taylor. Sorry, those who are triggered by this Taylor Swift song, "Bad Blood," where they get knocked out of the window. Anytime you can see your girl get knocked out of the window, punch something, whether it's Spider Man or whatever.
You
It's very.
always think bad blood when somebody gets knocked out of a window?
That's the first time I go to with chicks fighting, get knocked out the window.
Is
Sorry,
that a music video or something? Oh, okay.
Selena Gomez versus Taylor Swift. That was the whole thing. Fighting.
Team Selena all the way.
Exactly. Anyway, aside from this, basically she gets her ass handed to her, and then you think she's just gonna follow her death. And then who's she saved by the guy who basically like he's like a Superman type who basically said he was gonna
Yeah.
back her play, and then the whole league's there. Like, you know what? We thought about it. You're right. We're a team, no matter what.
I also like too how I think it does a really good job with like the whole protective mother character.
Yes.
because I mean that's some of I think the better characters or some of the better female characters are that kind of mama bear type characters like Invisible Woman or well like even Tigra in this week's Moon Knight kinda. Uh, I think that having a mom character can be tough to do, but I think that she's done really well here as somebody that like wants to protect her kid, also wants to get vengeance for what happens to her husband. But yeah, I enjoy it though. I enjoyed the story a lot. The depiction of the characters and everything. I enjoyed it.
So I'm not as hot on the art as you guys. I do not see what the appeal of Justin
Well,
Greenwood is to everyone.
um,
Everyone's like, "Oh, Justin
uh,
Greenwood." But be that as it may, I found it interesting about this book is the last issue I was reading, and the first half of the story, I was like, "Why do people like this book?" Like, I was just rolling my eyes, and I was like, "Oh, it just seems like the same nonsense that I just was bothering me." And then the second half of the book really picked up, really subverted my expectations in like a good way. And the way it wrapped up, I was like, "Oh, okay." You had my attention. I had my curiosity. Now you have my attention. And so when it came into this book, I was like, "Okay, what am I in for?" And it did the same thing. Like the first half of the book, I was like, "Oh man, what are you doing?" Like, I just it annoyed me because like the same thing that the last issue, it like did the whole thing where it was like, "Oh look, it's like all the men are just sort of like just barely useful, just whatever, or they're no, like it just." I was like, and then it's like, okay, the book's not like, okay, cool, book's not that great. I'm on board, and then go back again. Oh, look, she's going to essentially the Justice League, right? And it's like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
Superman, my son is kidnapped. I can't do anything about to help you. What do you mean you can't help me? Like,
it's like on
I was
Lex
like,
Luthor,
and then it
right?
was
And
like
he's
she
like,
leaves. She's like, oh, world's greatest hero, my ass. And I was just like, of course, the man superhero is useless, even though he's the world's greatest hero. She's gonna go do it on her own. So, but again, the story picks up. Second half of the book, like she goes, she fights the Lex Luthor character on her own. Turns out, I love the line. It's like, oh, you thought I didn't have powers, huh? Hmm. Like I was like, oh damn, and he whoops her ass. When you see on the
yep.
cover, like, and I'm just not used to in the modern era of comics seeing female characters get their ass fucking beat like to a pulp. And I love the scene. He's like, remind me again, your power subset doesn't include flying, does it? Oh yeah, here's why he tosses her out the window of a skyscraper, and she's already like beat to a pulp, and she's like falling down, and then the superhero like that she was talking about like saves her, and it was such a like a great moment, um this heroic moment. And then she's like, man, she has a comment where she's like, they may not be perfect, but when in the end they came through. And I was like, okay, that's cool. um and I just liked that, she is a mama bear, she's fighting for her son, but she's not just like, look at me, I'm super awesome, Mary Sue. Like, she's got some powers. The supervillain was way out of her league. She got her butt kicked, but she did save her son. And in the end, I agree with Zach. Like, it did almost feel like the story wrapped up because in the end, she she has, and this is a spoiler alert. Mute yourself. I'm going to reveal the reveal at the end. She has to make the hard decision, which this book clearly hammers home why you do not reveal your secret identity, which I loved. I agree with RDV. Like, I hate that Peter Parker revealed himself in Secret War.
Yep.
Like, there's a reason why you don't do it, because your loved ones will die. And this book really plays on that hard. And and she even says that. Like, I was like, holy crap! Like, Mark Guggenheim is twice now subverted my expectations in this book, and I'm starting to welfare of her children. She hates doing it. It tears her apart, but she wants justice, and she makes the sacrifices to do it. And they're not the sacrifices that require, you know, bench pressing 500 pounds. Like, it's the kind of emotional choices, and it just it hit hard for me. I was like, damn, this is the kind of story. These are these human stories with characters that, like, it makes me care about them. And I felt like Mark's respecting the readers. And I every time I'm like, I'm losing faith, and then he like reels me back in. It's like, nope, nope, I got this. So, anyways, you got a white circle of death. Did I cut out? Probably.
Or at least your audio didn't hear from me. I was like, oh, did I? Because I have my Discord running plus a browser. I'm like, oh, did something I do cause it? But Marania said she, you kind of like did a little circle thing. But you're still up on
You're
my end.
back now, though.
Yeah.
No figures. Hopefully, all that came through. Oh well. But yeah, so
Well,
I'm enjoying it.
this is
Not super hot on the art,
yeah.
but what?
It's Guggenheim. Like I said, Guggenheim. He can take a book that has bad art and make it great. What is that one I just is it Simon Cross? I think it is
The
the one we
spy
do.
one, Howard Chaykin.
Yeah, the Howard Shaker one. The art on that is not that great. It's subpar. But Guggenheim's story is, his ability of writing it just brings it to life. Um, Blood Tree, Peter Tomasi brings that book to life. It's a book I wouldn't give two shits about because of the art. But then I realized, like, you know what? The art's kind of growing on me because the story's so great.
The art in this book
But
is better than Blood Tree.
oh
I will
yes,
say
for art wise,
this is
art
better
wise,
than
yes.
Blood Tree.
But I gotta say though, I still like the art on this though. It's okay. It's got that indie feel, and that's what I like about it.
I forgive it because it's an indie. And I'm
You
not really
forget
trying to trash the art. It's just more of it's because everyone else seems to be like, oh, Justin Greenwood, and I'm like, I just don't get it. I'm like,
that's Skip. Skip is like, oh my, because you know why? Because Skip is buddies with these people,
yeah,
so he sees them. So if he says anything bad, he's like, he is gonna get cut off from everybody. He's gonna play blackballed as far as friends. But like I said, maybe he has some biases because he's friends with them.
I like it. I don't know these people. I
But
like
I
Greenwood's art.
yeah.
well,
Zach is
listen,
always talking hot on him too.
I love you know what I love more? I love the variant covers. I love those. The
Yeah,
first
one
one
of
I
my
had
Variant covers are fine, but that's not where you're getting the story from, though.
no. But I do love those variant covers though. And
one of
then
my
who's the
old
artist on that?
school favorite artists is Rick Leonardi. When I got into X-Men, Rick Leonardi was the artist, and
Is that who's doing this?
that's what he did this cover. This is not one of
Rico Ren?
his best covers, but I just from nostalgia reasons, it's got the old Marvel look.
Yeah, that's where I like
Yeah.
I like getting the variants more than I like the original covers. Um, but
It does
yeah.
have a good look, though. I will say it does have a good look.
I gotta say though, like I said, the art at first is not was my cup of tea, but it's okay. Now, if I saw this book in the 25-cent bin or dollar bins, I probably might pass it up because it looks very, very indie. And that was a problem with a lot of image books. Even Wildstorms, I look at those books back in the or they're in the dollar bins. And I kind of pass them up because they just look like, wow, these aren't really that great. Now, that being said, Wetworks, Wildstorm could be some of the best books. Cyberforce is there too, and a lot of the '90s art kind of like really a lot of people imitated each other. I noticed that. When it came to that stuff, the indie stuff. There was almost like a house style. Everybody kind of like, hey, this is song, I'll copy this too. But overall, the art on this is it's good. It's not great, but I don't say it's subpar. I wouldn't say it's horrible. I'd say it's above mid. But it does enough to get you to show you what's going on. And the storytelling has just been good too. He said. But then again, I could just be biased because
It's a fun book.
yeah,
The
like,
art is
yeah.
is a negative for me. If it had like Jorge Jimenez
Look,
art, this would be.
look at the art in Local Man. I'd say it's probably around the same kind of art too.
I
Same silly book.
haven't read Local Man.
You need to read
Yeah, I
it.
haven't read it either.
Oh
I've
my
heard
god,
it was
Zach, you
really
would
good.
love Local Man. Check it
That's
out.
what Skip was telling me. He's saying
Right.
I'd really enjoy it.
I
It's
do
like a
like
Hawkeye.
this. I do. It's a pretty intense book. I like the fact, like I said, they have a female hero, and they don't try to masculinize her, and they don't try to make her all Mary
It's
Sue. And
you know what it reminds you of? It reminds you of the early Marvel days when they had Monica Rambeau. Um, She was kind of headstrong, kind of hot tempered, and she's gonna do things her own way, but she get herself in over her head. But she knew when to say thank you. She wasn't like, what the hell's your problem? I had all the control, and it's, she actually learned. It's like she wasn't arrogant. She was the point where she actually learned from mistakes. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I don't got all this. Thank you for your help. And that's kind of what I got from this book too.
I'll tell you another thing that was kind of, I don't want to say turning me off, but it was like I was having mixed feelings about in this issue. Did you get the feeling like it felt really like it was really copying Daredevil Born Again hard? That first half of that issue, kind of like her showing up
Um,
like in the
yeah,
the skeleton. What's this guy's name?
Skeletors.
Skeleton.
Yeah, I know
I forget the
Skeletor.
villain's name. He was like very much kind of like the Kingpin. Matt Murdock
Yeah,
showing up, but like he's gonna
it,
whoop his ass, and Kingpin's like slaps him around. It's like,
It
oh,
it kind
what
of
the shit?
reminded me of that scene from Invincible where he goes to like that kind of like that street mob. I can't forget the guy's name. He's like a cyborg kind of crime boss guy, and like,
he
but
took
he has all these other villains there, like Battle Beast, that just completely pummel on Invincible.
no coffee for me. Like I said, like overall, like I said, Justin Greenwood isn't someone I get really excited over, like as far as art wise. We all have our favorite artists. I love Sala Roca. I think that's what his name is. The one that's working with Claremont. And
Yeah,
Super Marksman.
Salaroka.
I
Yeah.
love his art. So when I look at other arts, like, like I'd say the same thing about that. It's like as far as Stan Sakai's, his art with the Usagi Yojimbo. I don't care for that style. Looks like a kid's book.
Yep.
But
No, I say that all the time actually to
yeah,
people. Like
yeah, yeah.
it's a cartoon. Like it's not comic book art. It's cartoon art.
Comic
He's
strip art.
like, yeah, like comic book strip. Like he's a cartoonist.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, anyway, so like I said, this book, Skip said he loved it when he first read the first issue. He's like, "Oh, it's a great book." I'm like, but Skip likes a lot of books that I not always like. Um, Nothing against Skip. He's just got he's got his tastes, and all that. You got your tastes. Uh, Eric Breen says he read it. He's like, Eric Breen likes something. That's current. uh, and so I was like, okay, if Eric can read this, I checked it out. I was like, it's Mark Guggenheim. Now, to me personally, I have never read any Mark Guggenheim before this. I read this first issue. Actually, I take it back. I read the other one with Heart Shaken that Simon Cross to die for, whatever. I read that, and I was like, that was pretty good. But so then I read this, and like, this is actually really good too. And then because I was kind of iffy because like in between this, before I read the first issue, Zach was like, well, he wrote an Arrow. I was like, no, like
Yeah, he
Evil,
also he
Evil,
also wrote X-Men Gold when
yes,
Kitty
so
Pryde became the leader of the team.
yeah, and then like Evil Black Cat's like, hey, Mark's the reason why Felicity married Oliver and they killed the dwarf. I was like, you bitch.
He's also the one that broke up the Kitty Pryde Colossus wedding.
Yes, yes. So when I heard that, I was like, all right, let's read this. This was my second book reading by Mark Guggenheim, and I read it. I was like, this is really cool. This is a book. Except this is a book. Let's look at the cover. It looks really indie, really indie. Um, and it almost looks like a Kickstarter book, doesn't it?
A little
Mm,
bit, maybe.
For me, it does.
I'm not really sure what it looks like. Actually, what it looks like to me is like
Especially
an
issue 5 right
alternative
there,
book.
cover B. Well, I look at Alterna being the same kind of Kickstarters. Double
Hmm.
Indiogos.
I don't know
Um,
why, but
Not to knock on anybody. There are some good book artists out there in Kickstarters and
I
Indiegogos, but
would
there's
love it
also
if this
some.
was an alternative book, man.
Yeah.
um,
But that bottom cover on the right, who did that? The blue one next to the that one right there.
Ramon Villalobos,
Ramon Lobos.
another one of
What is
Skip's
he working on? Because
friends.
that is just
Yeah, this one skips
phenomenal art.
friends.
Like if that was interior art, dear God, I'd be buying all copies. As far as like variants and stuff, like that is, I love that art. That's more cheesecake. That's more realistic art versus the other one's more cartoonish.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Ramon Villalobos, but
You're Humberto
that's
Ramos
better
guy, we
than
know.
what is normal stuff that I see. I'm starting to think. I'm looking at these Leonardi covers, and I believe these are all homage covers. This looks like X-Men 201. I want to say. This looks like Daredevil cover. I'm betting these all
Yeah,
are.
that's
I
good.
just can't place them. This I believe is Spider-Man
Spider-Man.
2099.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Spider-Man 2099 number 1. And I think Leonardi did all those covers. And this I want to say is Excalibur. Huh. Kind of makes me want to all books that I loved, and like I have this nostalgia for Leonardi. He didn't do an issue number 1 though, so I was like, ah. And also, someone, I don't know who it was I was having a discussion with, said that Image stopped their $9.99 trades. Here's an Image trade for Torrent. It's going to be $9.99. So if you
Oh,
missed these books and you want to read them or get them collected and trade, maybe you just don't like getting floppies, you like the trades. Here you go.
yeah, I'm starting to get that way with miniseries.
Some of them are actually, I guess the new price is $15, but the fact that that's down at the original $9.99, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, Image was doing this thing, and apparently it looks like they still do on some books at least, where the first trade is discounted, to kind of get you hooked.
Yeah, and then it raised the price.
Which is kind of cool because you think about it, it's like a risk assessment. When you're paying for trades, if you don't like it, if it's $16.99, that's a lot more money down the drain than like $3.99 for a comic. So this is like you can pick it up for $9.99, test it out, see if you like it, and if you do, sometimes I think we're all willing to pay a little bit more when it's something we can know we're in love with. I mean, I was doing that with Chroma. I was
Right.
like, I won't pay $7.99 for a comic. Oh damn, I love this book. I
Oh
will.
yeah, Ramona Villalobos worked on Original Sin, the covers.
And I have to say, I do like this cover. This is channeling Justin Greenwood's channeling his inner Frank Miller right here.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
I'm like, oh boy, you got me, Justin. If you did all your stuff like this, I love the use of negative space that he taught. All right, we talked about this long enough. Um, next
Oh,
week
that's
my
why I
pull
like them.
my pull list is really
Sorry.
small, so I don't know what we're gonna read.
I'm reading that book though, so that'll be one of the books we can talk about.
We can talk about
But
that
they're
book.
yeah, World's Finest. You're not reading that, Ethan.
Nope, I'm not reading that. Trying to see here if there's anything that I would read.
I already read Superboy last week. Came out.
Oh, how did you like that?
It just shows that they don't know what to do with Connor. So they basically send
Poor
him to an
Connor.
alternate. So Connor's going to an alternate universe or different dimension or some other planet, the galaxy, because he says, "Wow, there's too many Supermen around to do anything." Every time he goes to try to help out, John's there, Clark's there, Kara's there. He's not needed anymore.
They should just put him on the Titans again.
So they're
He was
addressing that.
great when he was on the
So
Titans.
DC address the problem what they have. Too many freaking super people.
Now Maranya says, "What? I'm here, and you're not going to do your favorite game about new books?"
Well, I was hoping we would.
Maranya feels like chop. You made Maranya feel like chop liver.
Well,
Conditioner.
Marnie hasn't been here in the past, and we've not been doing it, so we kind of got out of the habit.
But not always. I think the
Plus,
stream from
with
last
Zach
week,
being
yeah.
on here and stuff, it's been, I just don't want these streams to go as long as they've been going. And when we have more than 2 people, no offense to our honored guest Zach, it just fills more time space
Well,
to let everyone
you
It
talk.
does.
You
It
also
does. That's
went
true.
uncuriously, instead of doing 2 books, you did 3 tonight.
We did 3 books.
That's also true. That is also true.
Technically 4. We did talk about
Yeah, Torrent.
Torrent.
Torrent, yeah.
So yeah, we talked a lot of comics tonight. Actually, I'd like that to get more in the habit. I mean, I do enjoy, and we'll probably bring it back where we occasionally do the thing. The game is kind of fun, but a lot of that was just filler, just to keep, just to keep going.
That's true. It was kind of like an end of the stream type deal. Like, you know how like Wes will do like his Saturday morning things, and like the recommendations is like the filler bit, like right at the end. It's like the transition out. That's kind of what I thought the whole pick
So,
your best pick from this row kind of.
so Christian Ward is doing a cover for the Expanse Dragon Tooth, which is going to pick up right at the final season.
Oh, my Discord crashed. Stand by. That's why Venkman got cut off, because all my audio for Zach and RDV come through the Discord, so I gotta takes a second to reboot it. Fortunately, my new computer is way faster than my old computer, so we should be back live. Go ahead, RDV. You got cut off because my Discord crashed. Go ahead. Oh, it's because I gotta bring up the.
It's so funny. Oh God, I'm laughing. My sides are split.
I was pointing out that I'm the one series I'm picking up from Boom Studios. It's Andy Diggle. Now, I haven't really much read from Andy Diggle before. I've heard people say that he's kind of like a not really a writer, or not recently, but they're going to do a 12-issue miniseries based off basically expanding on the show The Expanse. They're expanding The Expanse for 12 more issues, taking place right after the actual TV series. So if you watch all The Expanse on Amazon, you're caught up. It'd be something you might pick up and read. Or if you just don't care for The Expanse, you might have no interest in this. But it's gonna be. My point is, it's gonna be full of spoilers. But like I said, I look forward to this. It has artist Rubin, who's worked on Voltron, Legacy Defender. I guess it's the only comic book he's worked on. But I don't know. Like I said, I'm always excited for more Expanse. It was a fun series, but
I don't think I knew that you were a big Expanse fan.
no, Austin, I did stop because I heard whoop. That usually means that the live stream that he's showing us gets cut off. So, and also, I'm shocked that the Ash did not drop earlier. Usually, he drops from the call during these.
Yeah, sometimes I've dropped
State
from
of
the call.
Cal,
I don't know why the Discord just crashes. It's weird.
the state of California does not like Ash's streams.
Well, we are getting back to that time again. It's almost 2 a.m. here.
Does it normally happen around that time?
Remember, it used to by midnight.
No, that
shit
was my
dropped off.
internet. No, this is just Discord just crashes to the desktop. Like everything else, all my other programs are running. I just have to relaunch
Yeah.
Discord.
So
Interesting.
we quickly could play the game if we really wanted to.
No, I'm tired, and it's getting almost midnight. We've been running.
So tired.
I wanted to do like an hour and a half stream, 2 hours max. Now we're like doing still like 3 hours. This is a book though that
It's been
Skip
3 hours. Holy cow!
had pointed out to me that I was curious about. This No One.
Oh yeah, I heard about this one.
Is it the one you said you read you didn't like?
I didn't read it. No.
No,
I don't.
Zach.
I think no, I didn't read. I think Skip read it and didn't like it. I'm not sure. Somebody I know read it and was not impressed
you
by
read
it.
the other one by Bendis, which is kind of like the ones. That's something.
The ones, yeah, that one was a really big letdown because I was thinking it would be good because it had art by Jacob Edgar, who I really like. He's got kind of like this almost Chris Samney art style, but it's a little bit more, a little more cartoony, I guess. But I really like it. But yeah, the ones was a snooze fest. I do not recommend it to anybody.
Basically, the big hitters this week is going to be Extreme X-Men. You have Superman, Flash,
Yep.
and World's Finest. Those will be your big top books this week.
And She-Hulk. I'm liking it still, man. I'm still in it.
So
The last Barbarians has been picking up. I've been picking. So I've been starting to
I'm
get that.
surprised Zach doesn't get this series.
the Last Barbarians, yeah, that's the one that comes out this week. It's got like this Brave and the Bold homage cover. It looks like Starro. This one, Magic Order, I did start picking. Oh wait, no, that's Vanish. I'm sorry, I got that mixed up with Vanish.
Magic Order.
I showed you I picked up a bunch of Vanish issues.
Yeah. For me,
Yeah.
I'll think of the Magic Order after I read the first 3 volumes.
I'm about to say I need to read the first 3. I feel like
It's like picking up Jupiter Legacy and like what's going on here. I mean,
this is on my list of Miller books to check out though.
Zach's #1 book this week is gonna, other than Avengers Assemble Omega, he's gonna be eating Nightwing.
No, of course not.
All
Ron,
right, so
yeah, I saw this Ron Mars.
what's the over under on this being good?
So this is a throwback, just like we do with the other writers, Venom, and with Extreme X-Men.
I don't think this will be as good though.
It's Ron Mars. Either you're a Ron Mars fan or you're not a Ron Mars fan.
You get Ron Mars and Ron Lim. It's a Ron book.
Yeah, but though,
This is the same creative. This is the same creative team that was doing Silver Surfer back in the day.
So
that's true.
Ron Lim, we know our boy Skip. That's his guy. So I guarantee you, Skip's gonna pick this up.
Maybe. From what I could tell of the story, I'm not really I don't know. I don't feel as good about this one as I do about the other Blast to the Past miniseries that Marvel's been doing. From what it sounds like, Adam Warlock, there's going to be like an Eve Warlock that's better than him. From what I've seen of the synopsis, I could be wrong, but from what I've seen of the previews, that looks like the case.
Adam should turn into Eve,
like Cloud from the Defenders or New Defenders.
Well,
I'm kind of curious, just from like morbid curiosity, to see what they do. Adam Warlock is such a cool character that like Marvel.
Oh yeah.
Marvel like did one great thing with him. Like it seems like with the whole Infinity War, or back in the day, the Infinity Gauntlet, like that was so great. And then ever since then, they just didn't know what to do with Adam Warlock.
I am tempted though because Gamora is going to be here on this.
Gamora. Why is Gamora? I did like what they did with Adam Warlock in that Guardians of the Galaxy game. That was cool.
Genesvel, Gamora, Thanos is supposed to make a cameo, and so is Herbert Windham, Evolutionary.
This is a funny variant cover.
Tip the Troll makes an appearance.
Yeah, I saw the female. Oh yeah, Hearted Up, but the female variant cover. That might be what sells me. Which one is Alan Davis's art though? I want to see. Okay,
Alan Davis is a good artist.
This is going to be the new, better Eve Warlock because she's got the
power.
What though?
I think most characters would be better being as a woman and being good to look at. Sorry.
More cheesecake delicious.
For cheesecake at Marvel, I'm down for it.
Funny how they make the covers have more cheesecake than they do in the interior.
You
I bet she doesn't look that attractive inside.
Can you imagine if she did on the inside? Holy shit! Would people just shit bricks?
Would they? Would they be like, I can't believe we have this. Woman is better than man, but look at how she flaunts her sexuality. Like, I feel like they'd still.
I would say if they would not do it woke and actually did it correct, did good, but.
Well, of course. Vinkman, it will be better when it fits a woman.
2005 Miss Marvel, kind of quality writing with that art. I'm down.
2005 Miss Marvel was not that great.
It was great.
No, there's a whole video essay.
If that's the case, then I want you to never bid against me when he sells those covers.
Wait, hang on. Are we talking about Brian Reed Miss Marvel, or are we talking about Kamala Khan Miss Marvel?
I know I'm talking about Brian Reed.
Okay, I'm not talking about Brian Reed. Why was I okay? I thought Kamala Khan was around in 2005. Wow, that was an error on my part.
I think she was 2015.
Yeah, wow, that's a big error on my part. Jeez, I apologize.
I was gonna say if you don't like that, you are.
I heard Miss Marvel in 2000, and I just immediately went to Kamala. The Marvel brainwashing is finally starting to take root.
Austin P, maybe if you're a woman, you'd be less sassy.
Ooh, no, more sassy. Women are always more sassy.
I don't know. Like I said, I am man. If the, imagine now, I want a She-Ra version of that, just She-Ra, and just do it like that. Give us a little Xenoscope taste. You know,
Man, I don't know what we're gonna read, man.
like I said, my books this week. I said I my pull list. I do have that Extreme X-Men. You know what? Was there Samurai Doggy last week?
Yeah.
I didn't read it, so we can do that this
No,
week.
we did cover it.
Did we?
Yeah.
I thought it was a newer one after that. Oh, okay. Anyway, well, there's always The Walking Dead. You could read that.
Bankman and
Let's
his
cover an
Walking
issue
Dead.
of a comic that's reprinted.
He cheats. I tell
You know
you,
what
he
though?
cheats.
You know what though? It would still be new to you because you haven't read it.
He does kind of have a point there.
It's like I love Robert Kirkman, but I will not read Walking Dead. What?
I don't know.
I don't know. Like I said, I got Batman Superman World's Finest number 4.
I suppose I could just let Venkman talk about his books,
Yeah.
That's true.
but
Or you could just have a Monday night manga stream and just talking about all the anime and manga that you're consuming now.
Or Zach and Junk come
I
on
don't
again.
consume
And we
that
do
much. I
that.
just wanted to talk about the stuff that was.
Well, yeah, coming out each week. Zach and I could talk about the books. I'm sure Zach's got the same books on his list. I'm sure he's got Superman 3.
What are you talking about? Oh, this week's poll. Oh, yeah, but I mean, do you want to give it all away here? Or do you want to save something
No,
for
no, no,
tomorrow night's
no,
stream?
no. I'm just saying for next week, dude. Everybody knows you're gonna have Flash on.
Oh well, yeah, that's
Yeah,
not a
yeah.
surprise.
There's Batman,
We have. I know we're gonna have at least 3 of the same books on the top 5. I mean,
and if we only talk about one book next week, that's okay. We could talk about more other comic books too, if we want to.
you can
Oh,
actually
another thing we can do.
you can do the game next week then.
No, we
So,
could
oh,
do
okay.
if Venkman's willing to do and catch up on 8 billion genies.
I can do that.
Oh, there you go.
We
There you
can
go.
we can do a kind of a retro kind of just kind of our thoughts on the whole thing wrapping up because the
Take me an
last
hour to
issue
catch
came out
up.
last week.
Yeah, yeah. Just take me an hour to read all of them.
All right, we'll talk behind the scenes here. Austin, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Ronnie,
Came right to the end.
Ronnie calling you out too, man. Zach.
I know. Geez, I make one little brain fart, and all of a sudden people are calling for my geek card, my cheesecake card. What on earth?
Ash, add that PP poo poo to your list. That looks good.
PP poo
What
poo.
the?
The one book I'm looking down there in the middle is a Soko. I might pick that up if they have it.
PP poo poo.
Gay modern take in the 60s underground comic continues. It's just issue 420. Look, it says 420.
This comic is $9.99.
I know.
God, dog.
A one person anthology series. It has a cardstock foil cover. That's why it costs so much. No, but the book I was looking down that was in the middle next to that was Soko. Looks kind of interesting.
I'll find
Right
out
there.
where I was. Oh, this one? You think this looks
Yep.
interesting?
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I don't know how good the art's gonna be inside,
It's
but
a Photoshop cover.
you know what it is? It's KJ Alba. Okay, no.
I like
Routine
how
traffic stop for 2 Serbian beat cops quickly descends into corruption and betrayal as a dark trail of evidence leads to the discovery of unimaginable depravity. Mark Wade says, Soko is energetic and kinetic as hell. It gripped me from page 1 and it wouldn't let go. That's my Mark Wade voice.
It's my Dan Slott voice. Hey,
Oh, what the? No, that's Kenny.
Kenny, you
Well, it
fake,
sounds like
you fake fan. That's Cartman.
I don't watch South Park. I don't know. The only one I know is Kenny. Okay.
For a Russian comic book,
Wow,
you
you need to
translate
watch some
English.
South Park. How can you not watch South Park?
I
The
just
World
catch the
Tomorrow #1.
memes.
Some of these like Battle Cats. I've never read that. Have you read that? By Cat Studios Legacy Battle
Mm-mm.
Cats. Is that,
I don't
World
think
of
I've heard of that one. No.
Tomorrow. This looks dumb.
looks like Star Trek.
It'd be amazing though. Who knows?
Who
Look,
knows?
look at it, it's Beast Boys.
And I was just to say,
Ha ha ha.
Yeah,
it's a cool looking cover.
yeah.
Don't know anything else about it.
They're animorphs, people that turn into monsters. That's what it looks like.
Sonic the Hedgehog, number 59.
Yeah, like I said, like the Mad Cave
Speaking of
Studio
furries,
Super Babes, Femforce, Tales of Volcania.
Femforce, yeah, man. Get you some Femforce.
You guys should be picking up Vampirus Carmilla. Those are fun books.
Street Fighter Masters Cammy. Cammy was always better than Chun-Li. There's a hot take. Somebody Street Fighter fans can come at me on that, but I think they know I'm
Like I
right.
said, I'm just happy for this. We got Simon Stagg and all this stuff, Metamorpho, and like just like classic seven, like kind of Silver Age Batman and Superman
Zach is
stories.
once again proven he's a broken clock, but he can be right twice in hay.
Wait, look at that. We got Batgirls number 17. I thought they got canceled.
Oh no, we're not even talking about the book that Vinkman is most excited about. No one's talking about Amazing Spider-Man number 24.
I was gonna say that Spider-Man doesn't really offend me as much as more. I think Teeny Howard's kind of bringing up. It's like he's just like, you know what, Spider-Man, said Wells, hold my beer, hold my box of wine.
Peter Parker and Norman Osborn teaming up to work together. The guy that was responsible in part for Gwen Stacy's death is now Peter's asking for his help.
He didn't be part responsible. No, he is fully responsible.
Well, I mean, so is Peter.
Are we
They share the blame.
We're blaming Peter Parker now.
Norman dropped her. Peter broke her neck with the web on the ankle. I mean, they kind of both share the blame.
It's anyway. Nick Lowe, he is the best editor ever.
I was gonna say I don't think Amazing Spider-Man can be rebooted soon enough.
I know, right?
Are they gonna get to the milestone 25th issue and then
so
they're gonna go back to number 1? Is that
as much as I don't like Amazing Spider-Man with Zeb Wells, what they're doing with the character and stuff, I don't know who's worse, Dan Slott or Zeb Wells at this moment.
What is Dan Slott even doing in his book? Is he even doing anything
Spider-Boy.
noteworthy?
He's doing Spider-Boy.
That's not offensive. That's not bad. Spider-Man had a sidekick in the late 2000s.
Crap again.
Yeah, Spider-Verse is ending, and they're just doing it because they got the new Spider-Verse movie they want to tie in with.
Are you getting Punisher? You know,
God, no.
It's Captain America versus Punisher.
That doesn't mean nothing. I'm not getting it. I don't read Punisher. Punisher ties into Daredevil. I'm reading Daredevil. That doesn't mean I'm reading Punisher.
So you're not getting that, but you're gonna get the Sentinel America, right? Or not
No. I'm staying with the Colin Kelly, Jackson Lansing one.
You're not
the
getting
Steve Rogers one.
You're not getting the Sam Wilson. You're just gonna be like, I hope they give a repeat.
They're gonna do the whole like previously or in this issue. They're gonna do that. They're not gonna. They did that really well with the Alpha issue. They didn't leave you. They didn't leave out any important details from the story that was in the Sam Wilson Captain America.
I guess yeah. So it looks like we're gonna have Super Sons in this issue. That's why I'm kind of excited about this too. The cover it is kind of like, But World's Finest to me is through and through is like the match.
So here's something. I'm wondering how much this will affect comics because Jeremy Adams tweeted this out. Y'all heard like the Writers Guild, like all their members like almost unanimously voted to go on strike if their like working conditions, I guess, or their demands weren't met. Like I know that affects like movies and television shows, but would that affect comics? Then
Writers or yeah, there's been another writer strike.
yeah, well they did vote. They did vote in favor of a strike back in 2017, and they didn't have one.
Oh,
So
I was reading this. He had I don't know if it was Jeremy Adams or somebody else who basically retweeted this other person basically who's talking about she's a writer.
mhm.
Yeah, I think maybe that's what you're talking. Is that what you're talking about then? Where she basically was working and then got laid off. She worked on the show, do some stuff, and then
No, I no. Jeremy Adams just like retweeted. It was some news site that said like Writers Guild of America members vote like 99 or 97% in favor of a strike. So
So what this could mean if these are writers now, if these are writers of both comic books,
No, the
I don't
Writers
think it
Guild is
is.
for
I
I
movies
don't
and
think so.
TV.
So,
It's
yeah,
it's for movies and TV. Like if you remember the writers' strike, what was it back in like 2005, 2006, somewhere
can
like
you
that?
No, the
imagine
the
if
big one was in
if
the '90s during Heroes.
can
No,
you
Oh,
maybe that
okay.
imagine?
was the 2000s. That was 2000s. That was
So
Heroes.
That
yeah,
was the 2000s. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Could you guys imagine if the writers at Marvel DC went all on strike?
You'd have to get like independent writers that weren't a member
And
of a guild
dear
in
God,
that
if they got the
case.
writers come in and actually were better than the ones that left on strike.
Wouldn't that be hysterical? No, I
I,
remember the last writer strike because it messed up a lot. There were a lot of
well, yeah,
movies and shows that were messed up. We
was
almost
the
had like
rookie wasn't part of it, wasn't it?
well, who?
Was the rookie part of it? The first season
The Rookie?
or
No.
Castle? We're moving to Castle. I'm thinking of.
Might have been it might have been Castle. It might have been Castle.
Because it happened. Yeah, I think if you say like
Heroes was definitely affected by it.
yes,
There
Hero.
was George Miller, the guy who did Mad Max Fury Road. He was in
Oh,
there. He was doing the a Justice League movie that was in
hold
production,
on a second.
and it got hurt because of that.
I'm seeing a problem here.
What?
I'm looking at his pull list, and we only have one book in common for the next couple weeks.
What? Who? You and
Ambassadors.
Ash?
Yeah, we only have ambassadors for that week.
Y'all better find something else in common then. Find a trade or a hardcover or something.
Yeah, well, I'll get Detective Comics. Will be getting that. Oh, I talked to Ryan Oddly on Instagram. I asked him about the whole health thing. He said even with Donny Cates leaving and stuff, he was only contract to do like 12 issues anyway.
Oh, well, that's disappointing. Not
Yeah,
unheard of. Like it's not surprising,
but he
but it
said
is kind of disappointing.
I said he'd love to do some more writing though. I said like, well, talk to Kirkman, let you do a spinoff, do Battle Beast.
Yeah,
Oh.
what happened to that? I thought cuz yeah, they did the Skybound X that weird number 25 for the anniversary and it was like
Or
the first story
Code
of
was supposed
Battle Beast.
yeah, Code was supposed to be the other one that's kind of been
Coda?
yeah.
Yeah.
Nightwalkers.
Torrent also comes out that week, so
Yeah. So okay.
we can cover Torrent.
Nightwalkers has been good too for Columbine.
Hmm.
A horror kind of vampire story.
Okay.
If you haven't checked that out. What is this? That's Suckers. No, okay. I thought it was Merc Publishing at first. I was like, what the heck? Zombicide?
Scout Comics has so there's a shark movie coming out called Black Demon. Uh it's a giant shark that locals in Mexico think is like a demon or something sent to haunt them. It's got Josh Lucas, who I haven't seen in a movie since
Hurting
I don't
cat.
even know how long. But Scout Comics is doing a comic book adaptation. So if you like giant sharks, could be
in the
something
Dark.
worth
I've
looking
read
at.
that 1 through 4 so far.
Dahlia in the Dark. Yep,
It's a fun series.
that's the one that Joe Corallo writes, right?
Yep. Hope I have to talk to Joe and see if they're gonna do a trade or not.
That's Venkman's name dropping. Ed Greenwood is the Skip. Joe Corallo is the RDB.
Yep. Joe Corallo calls him Joe.
Actually, I call him Joey.
Oh, you call him Joey. Oh, okay.
Yeah, what's up, Joey?
I'm sure he'll be surprised to hear that.
you're assuming that you know our relationship, that me and Joe were like two peas in a pod. Now, Joe's a fun guy to have on your channel. Just talk about comic books in general.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Joe's cool.
I'm like, Joe, do you just talk for 30 minutes? I'll sit here and I'll listen.
Dude, he knows, like, and it's not just comics. I was watching him on the Mad Men in a Box channel the other day. Like, the dude knows as much about Doctor Who as he does about comic book
Yes,
history. It's like,
he's
good lord, Joe, what don't you know?
he's it's like when we had what's his name, Tim Limau was on our channel the first interview. He's like, and we had Breen
Mm-hmm.
on, and Breen's like, it's like shit. Like I know a lot Tim knows everything that I don't know about. It's like as for Transformers, GI Joe, Tim knows this. It's,
Oh yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, a lot of DC first coming out these next couple weeks. Green Lantern, Green Arrow,
Yeah,
Shazam.
the new Shazam.
Yeah, Mark Waid's doing Shazam.
Mark Waid and Josh Williamson are spinning a lot of plates, it looks like, at DC in the
Yeah,
coming
Jerry Adams like
months.
Green Lantern. Like I said, it's you know, it's gonna suck if Cy Spurrier drops the ball and just ruins the whole Flash and like and they're gonna and I like a laugh is like dude, like do you realize like you could you basically took the best writer off of that book in such a while? Josh Williams was a good
Well,
writer too. But I mean, Jeremy
here's the,
Adams took it to the next another level for that series, and then to say it's just gonna be about Wally going through a horror, it's like from what I read of the first issue, it literally looks like he's just trying to write a Hellblazer comic, but he's stuck with having Wally.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. The Night Terrors thing is going to be a revolver around Barry, so maybe Barry gets
Yeah,
the horror story, not Wally. But
that's
look, I
something.
mean, I've had runs. Look, Ash has read through the Fantastic Four of Hickman, which is like the creme de la creme of Fantastic Four. And I know that there have been runs that have come after that that will never touch that peak. And that's just the thing about comics. Captain America, you had the Brubaker run, which is the best Captain America. Like comics, every run I feel like has their peak or has like a team or a creative run
Um,
that once it ends, like and the next one comes along, like it doesn't live up to that standard. The
so
Flash is just the
yeah,
latest one to kind of join that club of like, okay, this has been the peak. Now we're gonna go on a little downhill slope. So
yeah. Free Comic Book Day's coming up in May too, as well. As you just saw
it
that
is.
he had the vigil, in
That
City
is
Boy,
true.
but they basically took books, stories that were in other books, this in the previous, this month, couple months, and they threw them all into one little special edition to catch you up, and it's free. I
A
mean, look
free
at that.
comic on free comic book day?
Exactly. And you know what?
Unheard of.
I might try out Astrobots. I wasn't really a huge Transformers fan comics, but I mean, I might give it a try.
Mm.
I heard that there might be a toy line if there isn't already one, but
There already
who
was
knows?
one.
It's the writer of Transformers, though.
The movie or
No, the original
what?
one.
Oh, okay, okay.
Original, I guess.
I'm gonna
I
try
don't
the
know if it's
first
just
issue.
yeah.
It's got a cool looking cover. Everyone's excited about this,
So
so I'm like,
what really
I'll try. I'll try it out, see what
now
it's like. And
you
if
know
it
you know
sucks,
what
I'm
really
out.
good you know what would be really
Um,
Yeah.
good about this if they actually did it in like they do the models kits like they do for the Gundams.
I guess I don't really want to spend a ton of money on like Gundam fans do.
Yeah, Gundam fans, dude. Them and Warhammer go
Well,
crazy.
no one says you have to buy the model kits. I'm just saying for the people who are really obsessed with that, that actually makes it be a perk for them. But we
Sure,
got three
sure.
books, 4 books, 5, 6. Ooh. The only thing I'm not getting on this list right here is Dark Ride. Otherwise, we got a lot to talk about that week. So we're set for the
Oh,
next.
you're not reading? I thought.
Not reading
Speaking
Dark
of
Ride.
William, isn't Williams? That's Williamson writing Dark Ride, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
You're not reading it?
Undead Quinn's been
Everyone
reading
loves
it.
Josh Williamson until he gets to the Indies, and then they don't read him. They're a bunch of fake Josh Williamson fans.
I know.
Oh,
Hey, no,
this is gonna be a tough week.
No, you know what it
I
is?
was reading
Oh,
Williamson when he was at Marvel. Okay, nobody remembers when he was
you
at
know what it
Marvel
is? The reason
before
why I didn't get it,
Flash.
it's not because of Indies, it's because I have 30 other books I'm picking up. It's like there's one less book I can just read online if I really wanted to read it. Uh, yeah, I love that. Coming soon, Image. Yeah. basically Birth of a Nation with sharks. Austin, even though we're not talking to you, we do appreciate you being here and leaving comments that we eventually will read 20 minutes later.
Yes. Yes,
We
that
should
is
wrap
true.
this up.
Look,
we should end this.
we should. We should.
This is going to be the best. June, the month of June is going to be good for comics. You got a new Ed Brubaker hardcover, original hardcover. That's brand new IP, Night Fever. Robert Kirkman's new series. We also got. Well, we got the Batman White Knight books coming out.
They're doing a King Kong comic at Dynamite.
Yeah, I mean,
No one cares.
Batman,
Sorry.
Flash, Hell to Pay,
You, sir.
Iron Man, Shazam, Walking Dead, all. And you know what? I actually was kind of surprised that Phil Kennedy continued the 007 story.
Okay. Ambassadors number 4. I'm looking ahead. Ambassadors number 4 has Olivier Copiel's doing the art on the interior. That's gonna be dope.
Yeah, he's like the fifth best artist on the list of artists.
Are you getting the new Betty Page book though? That's supposed to come out on the.
The only
Maybe.
cheesecake book I'm getting is the new Rocketeer book.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Rocketeer.
Yeah,
I'm getting really into Rocketeer.
supposed to
Adam
be
Hughes
new
doing
Betty.
some interior art. He does not do very
God,
often.
I was about to say, when was the last time he did interior art? It's been a minute.
Last time I saw him do interior art was for Man of Steel when Bendis came over to DC.
Okay. That was still a while ago.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to the next Lethal Protector of Venom because Doctor Doom is gonna be conflicted.
On top of Adam Hughes, you also have the writer of the Rocketeer movie as well. Writing.
Yep.
They're all
writers, a duo.
Writers, excuse me.
Batman White Knight Presents Generation number 2 comes out in July or June 20th.
That one I'm cautiously optimistic for, but I'm not necessarily super excited. I'm more of just a completist. I get all the White Knight stuff.
It's his wife writing it. If you liked Harley Quinn, so
yeah,
I mean,
she did decent on the Harley Quinn, but we don't got the same level of art as we did in Harley Quinn.
I think who's doing the art in this? Sean's doing the story and the cover with her. Artist is going to be Mirka Andolfa. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, but I'm just glad that Mirka's not writing.
Oh, for sure.
Well, it looks kind of cool. Looks like we got another Poison Ivy.
And yes, Marnie, 5th best. Well, he might be 4th best, but the list of artists on Ambassadors is quite stellar.
All I know is I would love to have some more Ramon Villalobos. He did awesome work in America.
You just said you loved that cover.
Yeah.
So
well, they did for Torrent.
If you like,
I would love to see
America, then he's up your alley.
Hawk, yeah. With Hawkeye.
But yeah, what was I'm trying to remember all the people doing art for Ambassadors, but I mean between you
Matteo Scalera does the last issue.
Yeah, Matteo Scalera. I'd put him above Copiel. I put Frank Quiley above him. I'll put Travis Charest above him. I put
I didn't think about that. I have to pick that up.
You put Carl Keschel above him.
I would not put Carl Keschel above him. And probably there's one more guy that's for the other guy who he's the guy I believe is doing the nightclub art gets an issue. I would not put him above. So Copia will be the 4th best on that list. But you never know. I will see when it's all said and done. Maybe his final product will turn out to be super stellar.
It'll certainly make it interesting to read all in one, like when the trade comes out, like reading the whole story with all the different artists for each issue. It'll certainly make it interesting to read and go through all at once. In my opinion.
Well, folks,
Looking at it.
I decided to let my dog out. It is past midnight. You guys that are hanging out in chat, you are troopers. I appreciate you being here. Love hanging out and talking with you. I would actually do this all night if I could. But we got to wrap up. We got nothing else to talk about. We're just sort of like spinning plates at this point. But I think we did cover a lot of comic books. Talked a lot about some cool anime stuff that you should check out. We'll be here next week, tomorrow night, at an earlier time than this show, at least. You guys can catch out the
8
Geeky
p.m. Central.
Puppets show. Top. It's like the top 5 anticipated books for the week.
Yeah.
Where Zach, are you gonna be on the show tomorrow, Zach?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be there, and then I'm gonna peace out, because then I'll be over on England Team's channel
Yeah. We don't talk
at
about that.
8 o'clock.
So
We don't care about the other channel. Yeah, we're talking about the better channel, Kiki
I
Publishing.
will be on the top 5 for an hour, and then I will head over to England Team.
Yes, we'll
Well,
talk about the
that's
trades and the
so
books.
gracious of you to keep your commitments. I appreciate that.
I
Yeah.
am keeping
sure-
my
all right.
The bill
commitment.
used to be an hour and a half, and somehow we're down to an hour now.
Hey, look, Vinkman and I share at least 3 books, so we're gonna go through pretty quickly tomorrow. I guarantee it.
I understand. I mean, Zach's got better things to do, so
It'll look good on you. I guarantee it.
maybe
That's what
maybe
happens.
RDV can reschedule the show for you, that show for you as well. So, anyways,
Yeah, when we move to the Thursdays. Oh wait, we already have it on Thursdays.
Wow, see now forget about me. You guys are gonna go after Maranya.
I'm not going after Miranda. Miranda going after us. We
Oh,
had the
no.
thing first.
Oh no, yeah, Marty was calling you out. Her list, and I believe Elva Calpia is a really good artist.
No, I don't think that's what she's talking about when she says diss me and what I'm trying to do, which is run the game. Because
Oh,
she's the DM.
well, you realize that show was cutting into my time slot. You could have told E, let's start it at 10.
You
Not to
can't
mention,
go
not to
to
mention our reading club that we had to reschedule because you took Ash
Yeah.
or you took Zach from us. So
Yeah, but I wasn't reading I was reading them, but then I don't know. When y'all first started doing reading club, I don't think I was reading. Was Planetary the first book y'all did?
yes,
See, y'all should just do
Okay.
stuff on Wednesdays. Since
Can't
no-
do Wednesdays because I have church, and then we do Star Wars stuff.
we don't need you on there Wednesdays.
Whatever.
Actually, no, take it. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Zach's got more important people to hang out with, so we appreciate the little
best.
time that he has to grace with us.
Yes.
That's anyways. I'm just trying to plug the show. You guys catch it. It's at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central,
9 p.m.
9 p.m. Eastern. If you can do math, and we don't care about Mountain Time. Watch it. They talk about the most anticipated comics of the week. Give your input. Come with your own list, top 5 books you're seeing, and then come back on Thursdays and see if your list matched up, if the books actually held up to your anticipation, or if you were let down, or if you were surprised by other books. And it's just a good place to hang out, chat about comics like you're doing here. But yeah, that's what we do. Anything else that I missed?
When can we expect another Ash Wednesday video
that's
and
a
or
rough
stream?
one. That's a rough one.
Also, let people know who are fans of the Geek Show. Palpatine will be gone from the 30th of this month to the 17th of next month.
So the channel will be shut down for a whole month. I will get a month break. Yes.
No, we're gonna have DC readings on Fridays and Sundays.
So the Ash Wednesday thing is on indefinite hiatus, just because I don't go to the comic book store on Wednesdays anymore, and you can see my pull lists they're oftentimes extremely small. So it's like to do a video, I've just picked up a couple comics. So it's just not likely. So, but I appreciate the interest on that. I don't know if that'll change. I just Yeah, times have changed with comic books. When I got back into comics, I was super fired up and excited, and I was big into DC books. Like DC had won me over, so I was real enthusiastic about my new discovered fandom because I was an old school Marvel fanboy. So I had a lot of books I was reading, and then DC just kicked me to the curb, man. I was like, so I gave him all the chances in the world, and I was like, nope, I'm done. And so I love the medium of comics, and I still love finding comics that I enjoy, but they're just so few and far between. And I don't want to do a show that's just bitching about books. I'm already
Yeah.
super critical anyway.
So what we'll
I
do
really
now
do
is
prefer being enthusiastic. I wish every book was as like awesome as I was like enjoying Chroma, because I love being fired up about books and just sharing them and getting people excited. Um, but with indies, it's super hard. It's hit or miss. Sometimes you find a great ones, and then very few of them are ongoing series. That's another thing that's starting to let me down. I don't really like doing the miniseries. So
I
Uh
want to
huh.
I want to
and
bring
so
I
back
many
that.
know. It's rough with the miniseries for
You want to
so
sure.
many
bring back
indies
the
are
Ash
miniseries.
Lullabies? I want to bring back
Mm-hmm.
the Ash Lullabies and read some Samurai Dog.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing that, is bringing back the story time. I do miss that,
Even
and
for an hour. I don't care.
I they were fun. The difficulty with the story time is when it turned into work, because sometimes you're like real excited, like, oh, I'm gonna read this book, it's gonna be fun, and then when there's days that come that you just don't feel like it, but you're like, I got that commitment,
So
so
what
Yeah.
we'll do is on those days, I'll just read a book to people on your channel.
so
The role of Ash will now be played by real Dr. Vickman.
Well, actually,
Yeah. No,
it's
you
gonna be
can't.
Reed
You
Richards.
you can't say anything until you crack open a can of beer or whatever Ash drinks.
Fine.
There you go.
3, 2, 1.
you did it correctly. Look at that.
Hey.
Yes. In
All right,
celebration of
I gotta be up
what is
early in the morning, so you guys
that's
Yeah,
all
also
have
yeah,
a
yeah.
great Tuesday, and we'll see
go
you.
watch the latest episode of The Rookie.
Is it out?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, there you
Yeah.
go. Something to do,
You
or
heard
go
that
read a
Yeah.
comic book.
Or read a comic or manga.
Sure. Or
Read
a
them
manga.
all.
Good night, kids. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Keep it geeky
Keep it nerdy
and sleazy.
and queasy.
Go for cheesy.